Almost.
Welcome back to Burning Yammer. Cut my music.
There it is. That's the part. Welcome, everyone. It's time for the year-end special. One of the only ones that actually comes out pretty on time, actually, in these episode chronologies.
Yeah, what's the date today? Why, it's September 8th, 2025.
Pretty much. I just need to get my act together. And
Oh, come on. I'm not even doing the audio version. I've given. I will do it at some sooner or later. Fans and listeners, I will drop all the audio versions at once, and you'll be like, I can't listen to all this, and whatever. It's fine.
Yeah, no, this is for our own edification mostly.
Yeah, we don't care about y'all.
Swine.
little
Pearls
pigs.
before swine.
We just do this because it's funny.
Yeah.
It's literally just the bit. We don't care about you. If you like the bit, that's great.
Yeah.
But it's for our own entertainment. Anyway, it's the end of the year 2022. What happened in 2022?
A decade of wrestling happened in Jesus Christ.
Oh, I just meant in general. Wrestling definitely did occur. But like otherwise, main event, like current events, not main events. You see?
Yep.
Let's see. You know what? Nothing really happened. It was kind of a waste. We should honestly just pretend it never happened and start over, I think.
Yeah, because, I mean, it's not like there's still a 9/11 of deaths happening every day. Don't worry about that, folks.
They didn't tell me about that on the news, so it couldn't have been that important.
Yeah. No, Joe Biden solved stagflation. He did do that, remember? Everyone,
with the inflation thing, I call it a thing because the thing about that is, I mean, granted, of course, this is just my experience as a white guy living in New York. But I had my job all year, and I did perfectly fine. And I had no issues buying toilet paper. So whenever everybody's like, the inflation is out of control, I'm like, do you guys like live in bizarro world? Because I'm sure it's not good, but like on my list of things that could be happening right now, it's very low of like me caring. Oh no, I spent an extra $1 on chips. I don't know. Am I supposed to freak out and run around? Because I'm not.
Well, no, I mean, you got to do what we do down here, like, legitimately down here in the South. Grocery prices have almost tripled.
Yeah.
For regular things. Like, that's not a joke. So, I mean, it's there, but at the same time, like, what can we do?
Just tighten up.
Yeah, we just tighten up. Yeah.
I don't know. It reminds me of like in the early 90s when the conservative thing was the deficit. Oh no, the deficit.
Cheese and crackers.
And if you say the deficit now, people are like, wait, what? What are you talking about? The government just spends money infinitely. Who gives a shit? Like, exactly. That's exactly how it should be. Nobody cares about the fucking deficit. The balance, the budget. Oh, right. I don't
Jesus.
care. And the minutes people...
those commercials from the 90s? We have to balance the budget. And it was like Buchanan or someone, and it was just this echo like it was in a baseball field.
The Balanced Budget Amendment to stop wasteful spending. The Dole Plan, helping you keep more of what you earn.
And that was the entire commercial.
Clinton
balance the budget.
Well, Clinton did in like the late 90s, but nobody cares. I mean, sometimes very rare. I bet Hillary brings it up once in a while, but nobody gives a shit.
Yeah.
Because it immediately just got thrown out. They were like, now we can spend on military again or whatever. Yeah, I mean, sure, Clinton was still bombing people and doing all kinds of crazy shit.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it's not like it fixed anything.
There was that little thing that happened just after Clinton was in office. What was it? Happened in like 2001. They kind of changed the entire world.
The French Revolution. Jeez. People got to read your history. No, I
God.
think you're thinking of um, September 11th. That was the day that
Mm.
that Master of Disguise was being released. I think the
Oh yeah,
Pistachio
wasn't that?
Disguise movie.
Oh yeah, turtle.
Right,
We
right.
all remember that.
It
Everyone
wasn't being
loved
released. I think they were making it when 9/11 happened, and he was in the turtle
that.
suit, and that's just my favorite memory of 9/11 is just
Yeah, they were making it when 9/11 happened, and you can hear Mike Myers get on interviews and be like, "What if I was there
Dana
at
Carvey.
9/11?" Dana Carvey.
It's Garth, not Wayne. uh, slightly different. But anyway, nothing happened this year, but plenty of wrestling happened. I think.
Did like
It kind of happened and then really happened and then kind of stopped happening and then started happening again. uh, I mean, so
so?
there. I just want to make this real quick. There was a big point a month or two ago that annoying journalists decided to make a point, which was
Mhm.
what was the most important thing that happened in wrestling this year. And then you would not believe, folks, but somehow this became a tribalism thing. You would think it would just be obvious. But the thing is there were exactly two important things that happened and
Boom.
apparently nothing else. So I mean, if you watch wrestling, you already know what I'm talking about. But the funny thing is, the one all the annoying people were arguing for, because it's a competition apparently, was Vince retiring.
Mhm.
And hey, guess what? As of January 8th, 2023, Vince is currently angling to get back on the board of directors as soon as possible. So none of that fucking matters at all. I guess it kind of matters in that Tripp's had the book for a little while, but like a year. Not even.
Okay. No, he hasn't even had it a year. It has been approximately like 7 months, I think it was, because the Vince stuff happened in
Hmm.
what, April or
You
May,
also got to
something
realize
like
Steph
that.
has the book too. Like,
Yeah.
Jesus Christ. Like,
No. Whenever they go home, they don't talk about business. And
oh,
it was
right. Yeah. No.
completely, yeah.
No.
Mhm.
Just
Yeah.
no talk. And then the other massively important thing was the scrum,
Yep.
where CM Punk destroyed everybody's faith in humanity, and he's a horrible bully, and everybody hates him. And nobody else did anything. But stand up for CM Punk.
True,
Um,
but
no, but the thing is both of these things came up because wrestling journalists egged it on, and then everybody's like, Vince McMahon's the most important man who ever lived, and he retired, so clearly that's the most important thing. And yeah, literally the most annoying argument you could possibly. Who gives a shit? Like, it doesn't matter. Two important things happen. That's it.
like have a better brain than to be like, well, Vince McMahon made the most money or had the most notoriety, therefore he's the greatest ever. Like that fucking rich exceptionalism shit is so fucking whack and tired.
Well,
Holy shit.
even the opposite angle of uh Vince McMahon sexually assaulting people and giving them hush payments is way more important than the. It's like, is this really a competition you want to have? Like, I don't, I don't
Yeah,
understand.
come on.
Anyway, Vince McMahon's terrible. CM Punk
Yeah.
is punished, and he's
Well, I mean, it, on a serious note, like this year of wrestling has, for me, had some of the best highs and the worst lows I've ever experienced in wrestling.
huh,
Ever.
really.
Yes.
I didn't think the lows were all that low this year, but given
Um,
given some of the other lows in other years, like it wasn't like 2008 or anything, 2010.
Well, I mean, as far as product goes, the product has honestly, at least, work
Sure.
wise, AEW has been amazing. Like,
Mhm.
I have a big list that I tried to keep up with, where I was rating every match that I saw.
Sure.
And I kept up with it for a while, and then, like the scrum happened and that kind of shook me, and then like One of my most down times I've ever experienced during wrestling. I was present in the building for the Chris Jericho versus Eddie Kingston barbed wire death match.
Mm-hmm.
I was there, and I cannot tell you how fucking bummed Sammy fucking Guevara made me in that goddamn match because he fucked up everything.
Well, he may be on one of our lists, but the main
Yeah, he's
thing. Oh, I might hold on. Let me check my list. Oh, I hold on. I need to make room.
yeah, you gotta.
Man,
But
can I
yeah,
just
like,
can I
and
just do a
so
tie? I'm doing a tie. It's fine. Okay.
and
Yes.
so from that moment, like, that happened in July.
Mhm.
I didn't keep up with my star ratings or anything because I was watching wrestling, but mostly as a zombie
Right.
because everything had just hit me and the implications of things. It was just brutal. Couple that with my forays into Twitter that I've talked about and
Yes.
everything, and this was for me. I'm not saying this is for everyone, but for me,
Sure.
one of the combination best slash worst years of wrestling I've ever experienced
I see.
as a 41-year-old wrestling
Um,
watcher.
I think it was definitely peaks and valleys. I think the peaks were pretty damn high, and the valleys were they weren't great, but I don't think of them as like just
Yeah,
fucking atrocious. I just think of them as kind of like depressing given the highs. Like it was like
yeah,
in comparison. So like for me, for example, um, AEW wise, I mean, after Hangman won the title, which was the very beginning of the year, it was definite ups and downs because his matches were pretty damn good,
hmm,
but the angles were they were not built well. And especially like the Adam Cole business, not great.
yeah,
Forbidden Door, great example. Great fucking
uh,
show on paper. Honestly, a lot of really good stuff, but the main event falling into what it was, and then especially the Okada Jay White business that put a big damper on everything. It was just kind of like you had all this great stuff, but it kind of fell slightly short of what you wanted it. And then after the scrum, I mean, I'm just gonna be straight with you. TV dipped pretty bad after the scrum, and the way they handled
yeah,
the explanation of everything was just not good. Like it
no,
was just like the titles have been relinquished and we're going to have a tournament and never let us speak of it again, which is like, okay, what is this? It honestly, I think the big thing about the scrum was the booking afterwise, the way the fans were treated in relation to what happened was very much a Vince thing to me, or at the very
mm,
least like an early WCW thing. It was like the respect for the fans did not really feel like it was there. It was just,
no,
you guys will watch anything, so we'll tell you whatever. And that's not really typical of Tony to me. I think they were just so worried about legal stuff. They decided
yeah,
to be
because there
super
was,
careful. Yeah.
yeah, because like, CM Punk literally was like, "I'll sue fucking everybody."
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, what can you do when someone is litigious like that? Keep your mouth shut. And I mean, here's the thing. I will say that the treating of the fans is kind of in line, just because of one of the things that I think AEW needs to do is have a fucking injured list or not appearing.
Mm-hmm.
Because, god damn, this has been one of those things of like, I'll look up and be like, oh, I haven't seen this person in like 3 months. Where have they been?
Mm-hmm.
Like Serena Deeb, for example. Serena had that really good match with Tony
Yes.
in September, maybe October.
Yeah.
Haven't seen her since.
Yeah. I don't know
Where's
what's
she
going on.
been?
I don't know. I follow her on Twitter and I haven't heard jack shit. She's not injured as far as I know.
Yeah, and it's like, if they have other things they're doing or something like that, it would be nice to have a little bit of transparency, which is like one of the things that make one of the things that makes me bothered by AEW is I was promised in the founding of the company that like this kind of stuff wasn't going to be it. We were
Right.
going to have like a direct line of communication,
Mm-hmm.
and we do sort of. I mean, Tony Khan, plays in the muck with all the Twitter people and stuff sometimes,
Mm-hmm.
but it's one of those things like you were talking about Hangman at the beginning of the year. God,
Yes.
I was coming in so high off of that Hangman win because it
It
was
was awesome.
my kind of story, an underdog, someone who is their own worst enemy, overcoming everything, and the Bryan Danielson matches, in my opinion, are the best, of the year period. But the problem is Hangman won the title and we didn't see him on television for 3 weeks.
Yeah.
What the fuck? That's your champion.
Mm-hmm.
And you go from that to John Moxley, who is sitting there wrestling anybody and everybody every single
Cutting
week.
promos,
Cutting
having doing
promo.
whatever. He's on Rampage. He'll do
Yeah,
whatever you ask of him.
there
Like,
was a month where he wrestled like double duty as because this is whenever they were
mhm.
still like taping it the same night. He wrestled on Dynamite and wrestled on Rampage
Yep.
like twice in a month's time.
Yep.
Like
Well,
it's one of those things of like everything doesn't make sense sometimes in this company that on paper should make sense.
right. And then I mean, this is all AEW talk.
Mm,
Now WWE. I mean, we watched WrestleMania. It was fucking terrible,
awful.
and this was before Vince was ousted. But once Vince was ousted, the talk all year has been how much better the product is. Now, listen, I don't watch the show, and I definitely don't watch like the pay-per-views because you fucking need to get your head checked if you think I'm spending money on WWE business. But
Hmm.
um, from everything I've seen, clips, angles, write-ups, blah 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 blah. Yes, the show is better, which is the lowest bar you could possibly have in your entire life. Like,
Yeah.
the thing is the show was fucking dreadful and unwatchable. And now it's still bad, but it's better than unwatchable, which is not saying that much. Like the the matches are longer, the booking is marginally better. It still has its problems. And a lot of it is just continuation on angles that were already going on, so that doesn't help because the angles were
Yeah.
bad to begin with. The I mean, some guys got better gimmicks, which doesn't mean that they kind of just went back to where they were. Like Elias is just back to Elias, which wasn't that great to begin with, but it's better than
No.
his evil twin or whatever the fuck they were doing. Okay,
No, he
now
was a good twin.
whatever. Listen, I don't care, but I know. Okay, but they still have a million commercials a show. Raw is still 3 hours long. They still have dumb ideas all the time. They still have bad promos all the time. And the camera work and production is still absolutely god awful
Dog shit.
fucking dog shit. And these things are like fundamental. Like my thing is if I took over and I didn't even know what was going on with Vince. They were like, here's this show. See what's wrong with it and fix it. I mean, literally one of the first things on my list is why every time somebody comes out is there a giant fucking robot version of them that we put on the screen? And why do we cut the camera 20 billion times a fucking second? That would be my first
shit.
thing. And the answers to both would be Kevin Dunn and Kevin Dunn. And I'd say fucking fire that fucker. Get rid of him. I don't care who you get. Get his second in command. I don't care. Like, anyway.
Yeah. No, it's fundamentally ridiculous because like even watching clips, because whenever I was on Twitter earlier in the year, I would see people be like, oh wow, this is something that's really cool. Like, remember whenever Liv Morgan was going through her death match phase? Remember that? How
Nope.
exciting that was?
Nope.
Um, and they would be like, look how fucking sick and cool Liv Morgan is jumping off of cardboard box onto a phone book or whatever the fuck she was doing. And it would have it would be like a 13-second clip, and I shit you not, it would have almost 20 cuts in it.
Yep.
And it's
And
like, am I the only one with eyes who is watching this and going, this sucks? If you were to show that in any like college course on editing,
mhm,
you would be thrown out the door. They'd be like, no, stop that shit. No.
right.
There should be
Who
like 4 cuts,
who
if that.
currently has the title in WWE?
Which time?
The main title.
It's
Top
still
title.
Roman.
I assume it's either Roman or Brock. Literally just for the rest of my life. Like they don't
Yeah.
change anything fundamentally.
No, it's still Roman.
Yeah, and I mean,
And
right now everybody's talking about how great Sammy is. It's like, well, I'm happy for the dude, and I'm happy he's having funny segments, but like, that's your thing on the show.
yeah.
And I mean, if Sammy kills Roman, for sure, that would be a cool angle, I guess. But like,
No.
I doubt it's gonna
'Cause
happen.
you know what's happening? You
Yeah.
know what's happening? They're saving it for Cody. It's Cody. This is
And Cody
nothing.
hasn't even been on the show, like, because his boobie fell off, and that was a big thing. That was a big thing for WWE marks. Is, oh my god, he had a match with his boob falling off, and we watched it, and it was standard Cody affair, other than his boobie fell off and he was in a cage. Honestly, halfway through, I think we literally all were like, this match should not be happening. And it's actually kind of upsetting to me that I would rate it low on purpose, because watching it was like gross and it made me feel disgusting. Like, I don't even
Yeah, because
understand.
we were watching a man with, like, his boobie falling off the bone like he's some sort of, like, rotisserie chicken.
Yeah.
Like, you want to talk about, like, combat sports and everything and human cockfighting? That entire match right there, like, put wrestling back 10 years, in my opinion.
Yeah. And it wasn't, I wasn't offended or triggered or anything stupid like that. It was literally just like, I was watching it like, this is so stupid. Like, what's even the point of this? And
Well, I
the
mean,
point was Cody wanted to get over with the fans, which I guess worked. But that's always Cody's thing. Somebody needs to stop him, like, straight up, because his desperation for getting the fans on his side is
It's
just
pathetic.
sad. Yeah, it's sad.
Because, I mean, here's the thing. This is the year of implications in wrestling, in my opinion.
Because
Because
of the
the
implication. Yeah.
because of the implication.
Mm-hmm.
And that is, if Cody goes out there with his sweater cow out to pasture,
Mm-hmm.
then the precedent that sets, which wrestling is already a big machismo, like, go out there and wrestle hurt, shit. I remember whenever people got mad at Sin Cara for dislocating his finger and not finishing a match. I don't
I
give a
remember
shit.
that.
I dislocate something, the match is done. We're done.
Yeah.
And, like, I remember everyone being like, oh, what a pussy. You should have just popped it back in. Have you ever dislocated a finger?
It
Like,
sucks.
Bert, have you ever done it?
No, but I'm like, look, if I break anything, the match is over. If I get hurt, the match, that's what the X is for. You got hurt. Not like, oh, you had a very specific injury that allows you not to continue. No. I got hurt. That's it.
Yeah.
Like, and I don't mean like I'm in pain, because yes, it hurts to wrestle. But like, if you got hurt, you know what your limits are, okay?
Yeah.
My man, Sin Cara does flips, okay? And dislocating your finger probably makes that actually really hard. It probably makes it very hard to climb the rope when your fucking finger's dislocated. Like,
Yeah, because also your entire hand will swell up like a sausage.
yeah, no. Just like Cody's
So-
boob. But I mean,
just like Cody's boob. And so the implication is anyone, especially in WWE, where they have to work 347 days a year, is going to go, you want to be good like Cody, don't you? Well, he wrestled
right,
with his boobie falling off the bone, so you should wrestle with your ankle sprained. It starts off
right,
little things like that, and then it turns into we're sending people out there who are concussed.
right.
And, you know, like, people were upset and obviously let down by the Adam Cole thing
Yeah.
in the Forbidden Door because we didn't know exactly what happened, but like
I mean, I'm glad they
when he
called the match regardless. Like, the match was not good because of what happened, but at least they
no,
fucking called it off and just audibled. Like, he had a
we see,
concussion.
yeah, if you remember, Okada went for the Rainmaker and Adam Cole went down.
Yeah.
And we thought that it was, at the time, it was because of his shoulder, but he was talking to Okada the whole time and was like, I'm done, I'm done, I'm out, I'm out.
Yeah.
And he fell down, and then no one touched him afterward, thank God.
Yeah. Jay just
Can
pinned
you
somebody
imagine
else.
if he had, like, decided, oh, I'm going to power through this like Cody Rhodes,
No.
and he got Rainmakered while already in the midst of a concussion?
Well, see, the other thing about that is, again, whether or not Vince is in charge, I don't give a shit. But if that happened in WWE, it might be a big deal. Like, that's the thing is, the minute Cole has a concussion in WWE, he has to ask himself about his fucking job prospects.
Yeah.
In the middle of a fucking match when he has a concussion. In AEW, it's like, okay, I have a concussion. Let's just call it.
Yeah.
Finish it.
Which
And
is-
because he's going to go backstage and Tony's going to be like, are you okay? We need to get you to do it. Like, Tony doesn't give a shit about the match. I mean, he does, but he's not going to be like, how you failed us, bud. Like, he's not going to
Yeah.
do that shit, So that's just the corporate mindset of it. Now, like, it sounds like it's also been peaks and valleys in WWE, but the peaks, in my opinion, are much lower, and the valleys are also, by extension, much lower. But I mean, I don't watch it, so this is just my bias coming in. I don't give a shit. However, we're going to talk about the highest peaks and the lowest valleys, given the fact that we mostly watch AEW and occasional Stardom, some other stuff.
So,
ROH, whatever. I'm rolling my eyes about that.
yeah, that has to get settled soon, but that's an entirely different topic.
Right.
So while I was going through and like trying to gather my list together, I looked at a bunch of other people's lists and stuff like that just to
Same.
get an idea. Not because I'm copying or anything, but it's hard to remember everything that happened in a year.
Oh, I copied. My list is just Disco Infernos. So.
Fuck me. Oh, no. Oh,
You
geez.
really think Disco has a list of anything? Come on now. He could.
Yeah, the only thing he has a list for is all of the fucking steroids he still buys.
Sure.
You fucking gassed out fucking sweat hog.
Allegedly.
Allegedly. You alleged gassed out sweat hog.
Anyway.
Um so in seeing these lists, I got to see just these insane patterns by people who were supposed to be like in the know and
Yeah.
like enjoy wrestling and like report on it. And there is literally like, oh wow, you could see the list where if I don't put this person, namely a WWE person, then WWE will be mad at me and cancel my access.
So touching on this real quick, this topic, also one of the most annoying things in 2022, bar none for me, is just enjoy wrestling. Listen to me. I went to an NJPW show in America, the Battle on 34th Street, right?
Uh-huh.
Rumble, whatever it's called. And I get to watch Shingo Takagi have a fucking death match. It was awesome. And in the middle of this fucking show that I'm watching and having fun with, some guy keeps standing up going, I just want everyone to have fun. I'm happy or whatever. Shut the fuck up, okay? I'm watching people try to kill each other. And this business, this all happened around the scrum. It really started to take hold of let's all just have fun. Listen, get out of my sport. I will gatekeep you out. I don't need you to, like, chaperone the fucking... Everybody just play nice. Fuck off. John Moxley would spit a beer in your face, and I would support it. Anyway, I'm just saying...
Yeah, I don't need everyone to, like, get the fuck along all the time and everything. It's sometimes better if they don't, but whenever it reaches a critical mass and then someone freaks the fuck out in front of a whole bunch of journalists, it's a goddamn problem.
Sure.
But, like, yeah, the idea of...
But who goes to a wrestling show and says this, you know? Like...
It's like, you're...
I'm watching people trying to believe that they're competing. I'm not going to be like, aha, it's fake and we're all having a fun time. Like, I mean, yes, that can be in the back of my head sometimes, but that probably means the product isn't very good. If that's what you're taking away, is like...
No, I want to go to a show and I want my heroes to win and the villains to be trounced. And if that doesn't happen, I will be visibly angry.
Yeah.
Like,
yes.
To me, nothing is worse than a fan going to a wrestling show and trying to hijack it by, like, cheering a heel or something. Like, there's a certain point in a heel's, like, journey where it's acceptable to cheer them, you know? Where, like, they've crested and come to the circle where, like, full circle, they're
the MJF stuff kind of got there at a point in the year, yes.
Yeah, and MJF has, like, had to work desperately hard to...
Well, he's good
get it to... Yeah, he's good at it, but if you remember, he had to keep teasing that he was a face in certain places to get the crowd to let off steam about it.
Right.
Because if he got them to cheer him where he's accepting the cheers, it takes a little bit of the oomph out of it. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that was a carefully curated thing that he had to do.
Right. But I would say, like, so you remember the guy that did that Bret Hart like interview thing where he was like, it's still real to me, damn it, and he's like crying and everybody makes fun of that guy. That guy is the best. That is exactly what wrestling fans should be. We know it's fake, but we believe it's real. That's what's important. Smarks, I have no time for them. If you make a big deal about how you, like, ooh, I know it's fake, I'm so smart. Yeah, we get it. We know you're smart, but it's not about you. It's about, like, that doesn't give me any enjoyment of the show. Like, that's the thing is, there's marks or just fans, and their enjoyment of the show is watching it and believing what they're seeing to some extent, suspend their disbelief, and that's how they have fun. They get into it. And then there's people who watch it, and their enjoyment is knowing that they're so smart, and they have it all figured, and fuck those people. Like, I want nothing to do with them. Anyway.
No.
But there's a lot of that in 2022.
Yeah, and that belief, you know, in that you're talking about, like, that's one of the reasons that the highs have been so high and the lows have been so low, because I also take, like, the critique of wrestling seriously, and people will talk about, oh, I can't believe this celebrity that I looked up to did this horrible thing.
No.
I was raised on wrestling. I'm used to my wrestlers that I looked up to doing some of the most horrendous shit and having to be like, well, don't care about you anymore.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's like constant in the business.
Yeah, constant. Like, Jesus Christ. Mm-hmm. And so, yeah. One of the things before we get into our list, like, that I kept seeing in these other lists that I would see where they were contractually obligated to put people where it's like, I don't understand why it's there.
Mm-hmm.
if you look at these top 10 lists, guarantee
Yeah.
all throughout there is a man who wrestled maybe
Uh-huh.
14 or 15 matches
Uh-huh.
the entire year who appeared on every single one of these fucking
I
lists.
wonder who it was.
Yeah, it was the sweater cow man himself, Cody fucking Rhodes.
Cody.
He wrestled maybe 14 matches the entire year, and everyone's like, Cody's the best.
So the funniest thing is, like, I think Cody did have like a top 10 contender best match of the year match this year, but it was in AEW.
Yeah, it was the Sammy Guevara match, and immediately
ladder match.
after that, everyone fucking hated Sammy Guevara.
Well, valid, but I just mean like all these matches that people are talking about WWE that were so fucking incredible. They were just. I've been watching him for years. They were bog standard Cody Rhodes matches. They were kind of worse than his normal matches, if I'm being honest.
Yeah.
Because at least he used to like light himself on fire and jump off ladders and shit. Like he was trying so fucking hard or doing weird experiments. These were just like, right. He went out and he wrestled Seth freaking Rollins. Like I've seen that, and also, it was totally fine. Just like your bog standard Cody Rhodes matches. They don't have that much to them, but they're okay. And then people were like, amazing. I'll make groundbreaking. It's the best.
Wow.
I had broke new ground.
Can you believe?
ATSTs. You know?
Can you believe that when Cody put the Miz in the 5th side headlock of the match, I was in tears.
I cried
Like-
butterfly tears. Yeah, no. Yes. Well, he wasn't even the person I was thinking of, but yes. We'll get into that.
Yeah, because in WWE, and correct me, someone correct me, but I'm pretty sure it was the 3 Seth freaking Rollins matches and the Miz. That's the only matches he had, because otherwise he came out and did the, I'm gonna cry, I'm gonna get over it though.
Yeah, and then Seth hit him with a
Style
briefcase or
pose.
something. Yeah.
Yeah. It was the, I'm gonna cry, ooh, I'm gonna get over it.
That's always
Now I'm
Cody's
angry.
thing. Yeah, okay. So Samoa Joe has the quiet, and then he talks loud, and then he goes back down. That's Samoa Joe's thing, and Cody's thing is always, I'm gonna cry. Never mind, I'm not gonna cry. That is Cody's thing.
And he always does that face like a freaking 4-year-old hulking up after he stubbed his toe.
It reminds me of Joey Styles at One Night Stand 2006 or whatever.
Oh,
where
God.
he comes out and he's like, oh my God, or whatever. And he acts like he's going to cry because he's bad. But it's so fake. It's like Joey Styles, you don't give a shit. You've been on a
Joey
ECW.
Styles
Come on.
has no feelings in his entire reptile body.
No. So, I mean, yeah, it's that kind of thing where it's like,
Joey
okay.
Styles would put a cigarette out in an orphan's face if it was the most convenient thing for him to do.
Allegedly. Anyway,
Allegedly.
let's get into
yeah.
these lists.
So yeah, let's start with the highs. So,
Okay.
top 5 wrestlers of 2020.
Oh, you have to start at number 5 then. Okay.
Yeah. The build up.
Oh,
So I have some honorable mentions.
I
And
didn't do those, but I probably have some. Sure.
yeah. And you'll probably name someone or something, and I go, yeah, that's an honorable mention. So, my 2 honorable mentions are Tony Storm,
Mm-hmm.
because her injection into the women's division was much needed in AEW.
Sure.
And her style has set the fucking bar for a lot of the things that we're seeing in the improvements. So,
I think.
Tony Storm, go ahead.
Yeah. Just taking off on that. Tony was a breath of fresh air for the division. I think the division was kind of languishing.
Absolutely.
Tony showed up. Tony has an awesome look. Tony has an amazing song. Tony is pretty damn good in the ring. I wouldn't say she's like one of the best, but she's really fucking good, and you believe what she's doing. And the most important thing is they got that belt off Thunder Rose.
Jesus
I swear
Christ.
to you, because listen, when it went on Thunder, everybody's like, well, great, we finally got the payoff. See, here's the thing. The angle was more important than what actually made sense, because the big angle was Thunder finally gets her revenge on Britt Baker. By the time it actually happened, everybody's like, oh, okay, but Thunder's clearly hurt, and so we probably shouldn't put the title in. Oh, they put the title on her. Okay. And then it just kind of dragged and dragged. Thunder could not go because she was fucking hurt. And the minute, I swear to God, it came out of nowhere. I was watching a random Dynamite, and they're like, the title has been relinquished off Thunder. Thunder's like, I have to give up my title, regrettably. And I swear it was like a sad face promo. And the minute I was like, yes. Yeah, I was so happy. Yeah. I'm jumping up and down like, yes, it's off Thunder.
We all cheered in the fucking Discord. We were just like, yes.
We were so happy. And I mean,
because Thunder Rosa single-handedly like held the women's division fucking down.
And look, she's a good wrestler. Don't get me wrong. I like her, but like, it was not working. It was not working.
No.
And the minute it got off of her and it went on to Tony, everything just magically went night and day. It was like, oh, Tony works all these Tony's awesome. And I mean, I won't say she was the best champion ever, but it was a step in the totally right direction to get it away from Britt and Thunder and get it on a new face. And then Jamie got in the picture, and it was all like, oh, good, we're doing things. This feels great, you know?
Yeah, because Toni Storm did the Jon Moxley approach where she wrestled like, nearly every single Dynamite. Because she wrestled Deeb. She started wrestling in the 6-woman tags, which that was a big thing that has helped everyone get better.
Yes.
This is whenever the baddies were first formed with Jade Cargill, I said, oh, this is good. Because that can get Jade the experience she needs in a more controlled environment. And they had 1 or 2 matches where I was like, okay, they need to keep doing this. Build the baddies and her up as this unstoppable force, and then nothing. And then we started getting baddie switches, and Red Velvet's angry with them now. And
at least it is helping Jade a little bit, at least in her image. I don't know about her wrestling capability, but it's something. But yeah, Tony, definitely a good pick.
Yeah, that's just an honorable mention. Like I said, I agree with you that she is not the greatest wrestler, but she hits hard, she is consistent, and she got out there and did the work.
Yeah.
So I really appreciated her. Do you have anyone in your honorable mention?
I probably should. Who did I put here? Okay. So then honorable is probably, let me think. Long pause. I think it might be like, maybe I'll throw Yuta and Dante in there.
Gotcha.
Because they have been working really hard. They're really good. They're just not getting their shine yet.
Yeah.
But, I mean, Yuta's come a long way. You could even throw like Garcia. It's all those guys that are like, they're there, but they're not there yet. Ricky wouldn't be too bad either, but Ricky, he's had an up and down year. It's definitely on the up right now.
Yeah.
But I mean, Ricky's kind of tough for me. It's always where we're going with him. So, but I think all those guys are very clearly like making changes in their characters. They're making changes in where they are on the card. They are working really hard. They're great every time I see them. They just don't have their flowers yet. And so, and also and I mean, They go periods of time where they disappear from TV and then come back. That's the other thing. I haven't seen Garcia
Yeah.
in weeks.
Well, yeah, where he was one of the hottest fucking things, and then no, actually, I'm going to stay
Never
with
mind.
Chris Jericho.
Yeah.
Like, talk about cooling someone off. Like, that was dunking him in ice water, in my opinion.
I don't know about that, but it's not like he went from hero to zero, but it definitely like took the momentum and got rid of it. I think it did help him overall. Like he's a bigger deal than he was at the beginning of the year. If you brought him out now and pushed him again, he would be a bigger deal, but it definitely stalled what was going for him. He could have been one of the guys, and they kind of just went, now you're just a bigger guy than you were.
Yeah,
because you chose
there
not
was
to turn.
there was a third way. That's what drives me insane is there was a third way, which is, Danielson was trying to vie for Garcia to join the Blackpool Combat Club, and Jericho was trying to keep Garcia in the JAS.
Right.
There's a third way. Fuck you both. I'm going my own way.
Right.
I'm a professional wrestler.
Yeah, Misawa.
And if Daniel Garcia had done that,
yes.
we would be talking about Daniel Garcia is going to be fighting MJF pretty soon.
Probably, yeah.
Like,
or Yuta. Same with Yuta. I mean, and Yuta's been great, but he's been lower on the totem pole in the Blackpool. So it's just kind of like.
Well, you see, his greatest opponent is Daniel Garcia. You didn't get to see it, but the match they had at the last ROH show for the pure title, almost a 5-star match.
Awesome.
Like
their first one was great.
Yeah, their
they're
matches
great together.
just get better, and like building them is the move. But
I have another honorable, which is Matt Menard.
Oh my God, Daddy Magic.
He honestly, I kind of feel bad that he's not in my top 5 because he just doesn't wrestle enough for given what they do. But that man is a hero. He should be on like every show somehow. I don't care if you get him on for 5 seconds. He is like Macho Man levels of entertaining, and they are. And I mean, they use him, but like, man. He could be all over the show if they really wanted to.
Like, do you remember after the I think it was the Blood and Guts match, the promo he pulled talking
one of the
about
best promos of the year in a year of very good promos. Yeah.
Yes. Like,
he's amazing.
Holy shit.
Yeah, go watch that if you haven't seen it out there because it is incredible.
Because, I mean, that's another thing is they should have turned that moment. They should have had that thing on play, and that should have been the thing within the JAS at the time.
I think they can get there. It's not so much a long-term angle as it is once they want to break up the stable. I think those guys can make a big case for being. Like, you can look back on that stuff and see it. And I don't think it's that bad. But, yes, if you wanted to go with the momentum they have at the time, anyway, so.
Yeah. So, my last honorable mention is actually 2 people because it's a tag team, and I couldn't quite bring myself to putting them on the list. Pretty sure you know who it is. That's FTR, baby.
Yeah, they're kind of, I would list them as honorable, too. I do love them to death, but they had good matches.
Like, Dax has wonderful singles matches that are extremely good, but he doesn't have enough of them to warrant, his own, like, singles thing on the list, in my opinion.
Correct.
If this were a top 10 list, Dax would probably be 8 or 9 on mine, actually.
I agree with that, yeah.
But they've had a phenomenal year. I'm glad that they ran with just a whole bunch of, won all the titles on them. The 7-star FTR thing is great. I got to be there for one of their promos and everything, and there is an FTR-like feeling in the room. Yeah. Like, people have talked about how they kind of just have a mystique.
Yep.
It is true because it was the fight like a little girl promo that
Yes.
he did.
Yeah.
And, I'm around a whole bunch of like, dudes and my wife and everything. And when he started doing that and, started going down, like everyone was like, huh. And you could just feel people like moving forward and getting interested. And then he, pops, I'm going to fight like a little girl. And there's just tons of dudes in around who are just like big burly dudes that are like, yeah, yeah,
Yeah, it was awesome.
just losing their minds.
Mm-hmm.
So FTR, they are something special.
Yeah.
And I think we're going to be really sad whenever they here in the next few years hang it up. Because I think
Totally.
that's coming down the pipe.
Yeah. So I'll give you my mom's honorable mentions because she made
Oh,
her own
okay.
lists, of course. Dax is one of the honorable mentions. Dante,
Hey. Yeah.
Sky Blue, and she said especially after this last Sky Blue thing, but I was like, that's this year, it doesn't count, but it's fine.
Drug Jade Cargill to a good match.
Sky Blue's great. And
Yep.
then she had Punk, and she said Punk is only on honorable because he's not on anymore.
Yeah.
So
Makes sense.
valid. Cool. So
Yeah.
who gets the top five first? The 5 spot.
All right. Number 5 for me, Jamie Hayter.
Good pick.
One, it's a conjunction of I love her style,
Yep.
because she wrestles like she's in Stardom.
Mm-hmm.
She wrestles a Hoss match, similar to Mirai or Saya Ida. It is a Hoss match that is hard hitting. She has mega personality.
Yep.
And like we were cooling off on her a little bit because of the, will she, won't she with Britt Baker.
Mm-hmm.
And at the time, I was kind of like, she should have turned on Britt Baker, went her own way. But at this point, since they've laid off of it, and it was just kind of a wrinkle, they had to work out kayfabe in their, on-screen friendship. I'm fine with it because Jamie Hayter is so good as the champion, and like she sometimes whenever champions come, there's like different eras and everything,
Mm-hmm.
and so like John Moxley say, we went from the world title appearing every week to now it's, like a special attraction with MJF, which I get, it's part of the kayfabe and everything like that, but it's different. But the workhorse rate that Tony Storm put in, Jamie
Mm-hmm.
Hayter is continuing,
Yeah.
and I love it.
Yeah. Jamie's been awesome. I think her finally winning the title was great. I think the only excuse me, the only real caveat I have for Jamie, which is very minor and really nothing to do with her, is she should have just turned on Britt halfway through the year
Yeah.
when they teased it. But not a big deal. That's an angle thing. It worked out anyway, and I think it's kind of like the Garcia thing. Once she finally does have her big match with Britt, I'm sure it'll have the same feel to it. It'll be crazy and it'll be good. But yeah, Jamie's a star. I think my favorite thing happened with Jamie at the end of the year when she was doing a hype package for her versus Sheeta. And I was like, that'll probably be a good match because Sheeta's great, Jamie's great. It'll be good. And in this hype package, she says, this is going to be an AJPW women's match from the 90s. And I was like, that's a lot to promise, Jamie. Like, I love you both, but I don't know if I believe that. I'll watch it. And it was.
Yeah.
She was totally correct. It was
Yeah.
it was one of the best matches of the year. And so on a Dynamite, she's just
Main event.
instantly started delivering once she got the belt. It was kind of like everybody wanted Jamie to win that belt.
Mhm.
And we all had memories of like the Hangman thing where it's like, well, we love Jamie,
Yeah.
but can she deliver? Immediately started delivering. It was like,
Yeah.
okay, perfect.
Yeah, they
Incredibly
did,
good decision. Yeah.
in the Hangman era, it was like Hangman won. We didn't see him for 3 weeks. And
Yeah.
then he cut a promo, and then eventually Bryan Danielson kind of wandered into frame, you know?
Oh yeah, I want to fight you, Adam Cole.
Yeah.
Hey, my name's also Adam.
Both these guys. Both
Well,
these
oh
guys.
God, fuck. What were all the chants? They had so many chants. I've already forgotten all of them because all I
Not
remember.
that Adam. Clap, clap,
That's
clap,
right.
clap. Not that Adam.
All I remember is his horrible Master Chief cosplay and the flip into the kick spot, which is an amazing spot. But
God.
that cosplay was so fucking horrible. Anyway, Jamie Hayter,
That
awesome.
was. Yeah.
So my number 5. It was pretty easy spot wise. Claudio Castagnoli. So
Hey.
Claudio is my Mr. Congeniality of the year. Claudio has always been awesome.
Yeah.
I have loved Claudio for so long. I remember first seeing him in WWE. I'm not an indie guy, so I wasn't watching him in fucking Chikara in 2007 or whatever people are gonna say. I don't know.
was.
Sure. And I mean, I've seen clips. He was obviously still fucking incredible, but like just seeing him in WWE was like, holy shit, this guy's good. Like he's so different and he's so fucking good at everything. And they just never figured that dude out in WWE. He had his moments, but they could not figure out what to do with him.
His peak was as the Bar with Sheamus, which made me go, I actually kind of like Sheamus.
Yeah, which is
Like,
a
that's
lot.
how good Claudio was.
But yeah, he was great in WWE, but he never got his real shine. He had his moments where they let him shine for a brief moment, and he was slotted in here because Danielson couldn't fight Zack Sabre Jr.
Yeah.
at Forbidden Door, and that match was good. Don't get me wrong,
That
it
was
very good.
It was a good match.
But it was just so clear. Some guys come over from WWE. It's like Cole, for example. Cole was still having fun in WWE. I think for him, it was like, well, I can work with my friends. You know, it'll be good.
Yeah.
I don't think it was like, I need to go to AEW. But the minute Claudio started wrestling in AEW, it was like, oh.
Night and day.
He
Night and day.
loves being there. You can tell in every fucking match he is having the time of his life. And it's so good. Just, it's not even like he got his flowers in terms of being on top. But I am so delighted to watch Claudio matches and see how happy he is to do the stuff he wants to do and to do. It's so good. Every time I see him, I'm like, oh man, he's doing like all these uppercut spots. He's doing all his strength spots. He still does the spin because it's fun, and he does it. It's not like he hated doing it. He won a match with it, which was fucking awesome. Like, I thought that was one of the best calls of the year. He's been on a tear. Is he where he should be on the card? I don't know, but I think he's carved out like the perfect spot for himself.
Yeah.
And it's just working. Like, I think the only thing I don't like about Claudio is his stupid music, and that's always been Claudio's thing. I never like his music.
Yeah.
It's so cheesy. Like, it doesn't fit. He needs, I don't know what he needs. That's the thing, is nobody can ever figure it out. When he was in WWE, they had that, that horrible fucking right censor music.
Yeah.
But anyway, he's been great.
So yeah, I was one of those people, like, I didn't watch a ton of indie wrestling. I wasn't like catching weekly shows, but I was still like, it was the infancy of YouTube, and so you just find clips and stuff all the time, and Claudio was in there, and I kept seeing this giant, lithe, rangy man, because his body type was not common back then. that was one of the things that really got me about him was because he was tall and he was absolutely jacked, but he
Hmm.
wasn't like blowed up like a balloon. He was like rangy.
Yeah.
And I was like, huh. And seeing him do all these crazy feats of strength, like, have you ever seen the redwood swing?
No.
There was a wrestler who was he was a shorter individual, Grizzly Redwood. His
Okay.
name was Grizzly
Great
Redwood,
name.
and he dressed up like a lumberjack. And
Okay.
he was a smaller fella. I don't know if he was a little person or not, but he was like, 5 foot tall, something
Okay.
like that, And during a Chikara match, I'm pretty sure, Claudio got him in the big swing and he swung him a legitimate 100 times.
Wow.
Like Grizzly Redwood was like about to puke and Claudio fell over, and you know how he'll like play at being dizzy after the spin, like he was legitimately like green.
Hmm. Yep.
But I would just see these weird things. Like, have you ever seen the ring steps incident in indie promotion?
No.
What's wrong? What's wrong with you today? Yeah.
And the ring steps, he like trips over and falls over.
Hmm.
And everyone laughs. And he's like, "What? What are you talking about?" And he starts cutting a promo on the ring steps. And these are like wooden steps. And he lifts the wooden steps up and gives it a European uppercut.
Jesus Christ.
And I fell in love with Claudio.
Yeah, he's great.
And then seeing him in, WWE, I was always like, he needs more. He needs more. There was the infamous beach ball incident. Do you
Yep.
remember that?
I
with
do. I
Claudio?
do recall. I was watching that, and then he also the big thing was when he threw Big Show out of the ring in the fucking Andre the Giant Battle Royal thing,
Yeah.
which was incredible, but they never did. The whole crowd
Yeah.
blew up, but they never did it. He got the big chocolate statue or whatever the fuck they do.
But yeah, I agree with you that Claudio has carved out his own niche where he is,
Hmm.
and he's the ROH champion, which kind of means something. I did like Chris Jericho's ROH run, but it's one of those things of I want to see Claudio do more, but if he's still prominently featured like he is, I will be happy.
Hmm. Yeah. So yeah, he's my number 5 for sure.
Nice. So my number 4, um, this guy didn't appear on the list last year because he had just showed up, and it had a few matches, and also last year we kind of agreed that there were like 4 or 5 guys that were just you couldn't put them on the list because they
Yeah.
were just so up there as
Yep.
far as like the list would just be those 5 guys. My, how the apple has fallen off that tree.
Mm-hmm.
And I put this guy on here because I feel he has, one, comported himself with grace and honor, and two, has just fucking killed it all year, and that is Bryan Danielson.
Okay.
Um, his 2 out of 3 falls with Garcia was excellent. His match with Hangman at the beginning of the year, the second match that they had, the 30-minute death slugfest,
Yep.
the Anarchy in the Arena, The tag matches that he had teaming with John Moxley were excellent. His match with John Moxley
Was great.
when
Yeah.
the Blackpool Combat Club was formed, um, just absolutely insane. He can still go. He can sell with the best of them. He can be the greatest baby face. He can be the greatest heel at the drop of a hat.
Yeah.
Like, do you remember whenever he got his leg stuck in the
Yes.
in between the ropes, and
ropes,
the
yeah.
or not the ropes,
It was
but
the apron.
the ring.
The
Yeah, it was the ring apron and the
he was selling it. The
yeah,
whatever you call it.
and
Yeah.
yeah, the ramp, the entrance ramp.
Yeah.
He got his leg caught in there and was selling it like he had legitimately hurt himself. And we bought it for like a week.
Lots of people bought it. Yeah, and I think I saw a clip because everybody's like, "Oh my god, he hurt his leg! Oh my god!" And then the AEW is so unprofessional having the ramp, whatever nonsense. And then there was like a clip of him just like when it was over, he's just like takes his leg. I was like, "Okay, cool." And it's like nothing. It's like, yeah, it's called selling. It's not a wrestler.
And like he sold in the him and Garcia had the first match where Danielson was giving me a heart attack and selling concussion.
Yeah.
And I was losing my mind. I was like, no, you can't. Stop this fucking match. Stop this fucking match. Protect him. Protect him.
Don't
and
hurt
he's
that man.
Working me the whole time.
Yeah. Well,
And I think that level of talent should just be, recognized, because goddamn.
sure. I mean, Danielson's been great. I think he's probably my top 10. He did not make my 5 list, and the only reason for that, which I'm sure plenty of people disagree with me on, is he had 3 fucking matches with Chris Jericho that they numbered that I didn't think any of them were all that great. And they just kept doing it, and I was like, please get him out of this feud. I can't deal with it anymore.
The first one objectively was good. After that,
It was fine. I saw it at a theater, and I was like, it's kind of hurting me a little. It's mainly, it had nothing to do with Bryan Danielson and everything to do with Chris Jericho. I don't want to see Chris Jericho have big long slugfests with Bryan Danielson. It doesn't work for me, but I get it. I mean, Bryan Danielson was great. I don't fault him for this. It was just a lot of his program, and then he was out for a decent amount of time. I thought he definitely had a great year, and he's obviously one of the best ever. Like, it's not even really up for debate. So, yeah, he's probably like my number 6 or 7 or something. He's way up there.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, great pick. Number 4 for me is Suzuki.
Hey.
Because I had to pick a Stardom person. That makes it sound like she's got a consolation spot, but Suzuki is in prominence. It was basically between her and Julia for me. Julia did have a great year, but Julia is generally great. Suzuki just feels like she's always great to me. She has this aura to her. Really, all the girls in prominence do, but Suzu specifically is, fucking death dealer. She had a great match with Julia. She had a really excellent match with Tomoka Inaba at this JTO show. She's just basically been on fire. It's kind of like, I love women's wrestling. Serena's my girl, and she hasn't had much to do all year. And I mean, I love Jamie, but she hasn't had enough time as champion yet. Tony's great, but is she top 5 material for me? No. There's some others I like. So when you really look at like the best of women's wrestling, it's pretty much Stardom. That promotion is just insanely good. The work rate outshines a lot of men's wrestling promotions' work rates. I mean, Stardom, I'll be frank, is a lot more fun to watch than NJPW, like 100%.
Yeah. Yeah, which
And
is why NJPW is trying to get that stardom bump by combining some shows with them.
sure. And look, I mean, if you look at other people in Stardom, there's definitely, I mean, Himika's my girl, of course.
Oh, yeah.
Natsupoi, amazing, and she
Fuck.
came back this year, so she's way up there.
Dark Starlight Kid,
Starlight Kid,
Mirai, Siri.
Siri, obviously amazing, but Siri, has her matches, and she's at the top, so it's not like she's wrestling all the time. So Suzu, mainly being kind of an outsider, wrestles a lot of different people on a lot of different shows, and she's just, I don't know, she's got that thing to her. So
Yeah.
she's my number 4.
And you see, Prominence is not only just a faction, it is her own semi-promotion.
Right.
So she has promoted her own events all throughout the year with Prominence with a whole bunch of people. So, I mean, she is wheeling, she is dealing, she is doing everything she can to literally make the name of Prominence prominent.
Yeah.
And like there was a show that I caught of Prominences. I can't remember what it was called, but it was all the members of Prominence wrestling deathmatch wrestling.
Yep.
So you had Jun Kasai in there and several different like great Japanese deathmatch people. And the story behind it was, Suzu Suzuki and Prominence was like, we have to train to be the most dominant faction that there is in Japanese wrestling. So we are training against these deathmatch wrestlers, like literally sending themselves on a hero's journey, which that,
yeah,
and like, at one point in that match, Suzu got slammed onto cinder blocks.
yeah, sounds
God,
about right.
it was brutal. But yeah.
I think she's got like, look, I love Siri. And I love Julia, and they have their own like auras and stuff and characters, but like Suzu feels more like the Aja Kong Bull Nakano type thing. She has that to her, and there are like a few people in Stardom who have kind of that, but Suzu's pretty clearly in her own league. So yeah, she's my number 4.
Yeah, and I mean, do you remember the first time that we ever saw Suzu? Was
Yes.
at the very first Stardom show we watched.
Right.
I think that was last year.
We recorded it. I think. Didn't we do a show on it?
Yeah,
It'll be up
we
sooner.
did.
It'll be up probably after.
Yeah. But when we watched it, like it was all of Prominence. We didn't know who they were, but they were in matching tracksuits.
They just look like sad girls. This is kind of weird.
They looked like sad girls, but the moment Suzu started talking to Julia,
Yes.
I instantly knew that there was like a history between them. And
I think she was crying.
She was crying.
Yeah.
The very first moment we saw Suzu, she was crying. But it was because they conveyed, and we were watching the live feed at the time, so we didn't get any translations or anything.
No.
We're just watching it, and we knew that there was something deep and hurtful about their personal relationship with one another. And Suzu was crying, and they were pulling on each other's hair and, like, about to fight, but, like, couldn't bring themselves to because of some past.
Mm-hmm.
It was captivating.
Yeah.
And because of that, this dovetails nicely into my number 3 pick, which is Suzuki.
Okay, wow.
So
Wow, it worked. I'm surprised because literally I put this together before the beginning of the show, and I was like, what woman do I put? Do I put Julia or Susie? I don't know. So I had no idea. Yeah, number 3. Okay.
Yeah, number 3, like I said, everything that I was talking about, she has captivated, is the thing. Rarely does someone come along where they just captivate.
Yeah.
And her entire aura and the matches that she has, fucking excellent. So,
I feel bad. I stole all your time.
oh no, 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 it dovetailed nicely.
Well, that's good. Yeah. I mean, well, that dovetails nicely to the fact that my number 3 was definitely not going to be your number 3. My number 3 is CM Punk. Um, which I'm sure many people will be like, how dare you, sir? Listen, okay, CM Punk was gone for maybe half the year. I don't know when it happened. When did the scrum happen? Like August?
He was gone for like 3 months out of it.
Okay. Well, the thing is when he was there, he was basically doing the best stuff. I don't know if I'd say it's of his career because he's had a long and storied career, but man, the stuff Punk brought to this show.
I would say I can safely say best stuff.
I will say without hesitation. And I mean, I don't like to be the guy that argues for ratings and money and stuff, but the reason this company had a rocket strapped to it was Punk. And I know a lot of people will say, well, yeah, he's a big name and he came back after, for sure, but also the actual quality of stuff he was doing was incredible. Literally, you can find any clip of anything Punk, even the scrum, anything Punk did this year, and it is fascinating to watch. It is just so good. He had easily some of the best matches of the year, and they were not Will Ospreay versus Kenny Omega, to put it in those terms. They were not showboaty, insane spot fest. Some of them only lasted like 5 minutes, but they were so good. His promos were incredible. The feuds he was in were easily the best feuds of the year, without a doubt. And, you know, people, Seth versus Cody, shut up. You did not watch this shit. Punk was on another level. And, yeah, I love him to death, obviously. I got to see him come back. I am not holding out much hope, but there are, you know how the rumors are. There's plenty of rumors going around about it.
Yeah.
If he comes back, if anybody can work this stuff out, it will be the best thing for this company. He is just the right fit for everything. So, yeah, he's my number 3.
So, yeah, I mean, we touched on it last week, I think it was, but the thing is, it was always going to be a battle of philosophy.
Yeah.
Whenever it came to CM Punk. And I agree with you that anything that Punk was involved with, like heavily involved with, was excellent.
Yeah.
There were a few things that stuck out where it was like, that wasn't too great. It is mainly his matches, like not his throwaway matches, necessarily, but the Bobby Fish match. That was,
well, yeah. I wonder why that was lower on the list.
That was a stinker. Also, his match with Pentagon Jr.
Hold on. Folks, where's the lie? Lie.
And I mean, folks, where's the lie? The lie.
Fucking echo. God, Bobby Fish.
God,
anyway,
I'm gonna play that 5.
God damn it! I didn't put him on my top 5. Want to go? Well, he's already gone. That's why. Fuck him.
Yeah, come on.
He's not on my worst either, but you know, like fucking Bobby Fish. Anyway,
like his match with Pentagon Junior or Pentagon Oscuro or whatever it's called. Was not great. So, like, his in-between stuff, in between his feuds, were ho-hum so-so.
I thought the Hobbs match was very good. Like, underrated good. And people kind of... That might have been 2021, though. I think it was.
Also, the match he had with Wardlow, because that started all of Wardlow's momentum.
Yep.
That has immediately.
Wardlow beat him.
No. CM Punk beat him. It was he beat him with a small package.
Oh, was it? I thought
Yep.
Wardlow squashed him in.
Wardlow beat the.
Okay,
Punk did not
so
get any offense.
this is a
the
perfect
entire
example
match.
of what I'm talking about. My brain goes, Wardlow beat the absolute shit out of Punk and won, and really Punk won, but he lost. Like you don't think of it in terms of, oh yeah, Punk beat Wardlow. You think like Wardlow absolutely demolished fucking CM Punk, which is like great for Wardlow, and yeah, he just knows how to build those kinds of things. Yeah.
Yeah, because that's what got the whole. Like weeks before it was Wardlow and the Powerbomb Symphony with Jericho.
Yep.
That's where the Powerbomb Symphony started with Jericho, but it was popularized by CM Punk in that match.
Yep.
Because immediately after that, Wardlow started Powerbomb Symphonying people because he was angry about the CM Punk stuff. And then it got over.
Yep.
And everyone was like, yeah, we want to see you powerbomb these incredibly large men.
It's a good angle. Yeah.
Yeah. No, it was great. And I mean, that's the thing. I'm mad at Punk for a lot of things. But cannot fault him for every time he was involved in a proper angle. This is why I mentioned the in-between stuff, because the in-between stuff he wasn't putting his all into. But whenever there was a proper angle involved, that was good shit. And one of the best feelings that I experienced was whenever you and I were watching the pay-per-view in which MJF and Punk had their dog collar match.
Yep.
And MJF had like taken away the cult of personality, which is a stupid thing to have happen. Like, absolutely stupid.
It was fine.
No, this is what I'm saying. MJF and Punk made it work, though. Because then we got the AFI song.
The minute that song started playing, that was one of the biggest pops of the year for me. I was just immediately like, this is the coolest fucking thing. And not everybody is going to get it, but even people that don't get it will get it, like, in some sense, because you can just watch it. And I mean, there were all those people like, nobody's gonna know what the song is. Fuck off. Like, it doesn't matter. You could tell it was fucking cool. Like, it did not matter. So I kind of forgot that even happened in that. Because the whole thing was so good. Yeah.
We see, if you've noticed something about me and my taste in wrestling, it is, I really enjoy the story portion of it. I love good wrestling. Don't get me wrong. But whenever there is a good story involved with it, that's what throws it up to the next level. And that's why there were a lot of good matches for me this year, but not many that reached the pinnacle.
Yeah.
You know, like...
Right, the pinnacle, MJF and Wardlow. No, yes. That's the main reason Punk is at 3 for me. There was no way it was going higher than 3. But, like, story-wise, if you think of the stories of the year in wrestling, outside of the scrum, like just like the feuds, the angles, like, Punk stuff was way up there.
His build against John Moxley was great.
Excellent.
Punk losing because of the foot thing to John Moxley in like 30 seconds, and John Moxley immediately coming on the screen and being like, oh, I'm sorry, was that not what was supposed to happen? Fucking incredible.
Yeah.
And that's the thing that gets me about Punk, is he has these absolute moments of humility and knowing what is best for business and best for his philosophy of pro wrestling. He has those moments where he has these shining bits where he like sees the fucking lathe of heaven.
Mm-hmm.
And he knew that losing to John Moxley in 30 seconds was 1, a shock, 2, could build for the next match, which it did. And it was, humility shown in John Moxley because Punk could absolutely look at John Moxley's career and be like, yeah, you were nothing where I was, and like
Hmm.
really look down on it, but he didn't.
Yeah.
Which is all the more galling whenever he has these baby moments where he is an absolute fucking baby.
Well, the baby stuff, okay, there's wrestling and there's real life.
Mhm.
And I think wrestling wise, he understands the business and has this mentality about it. And then personally, he can be a real baby. He contains multitudes, as they say.
Yeah, it absolutely contains multitudes. I don't blame you for having CM Punk on there one bit. When he was involved in something, it was hot and it was great and amazing. And I wish that he could actually adhere to his philosophy and understand what is best for pro wrestling in general.
Well, he did
So
nothing wrong,
I
so it's fine. Anyway,
I like real quick last thing.
yes,
My ultimate hope is that they will hash it out or have hashed it
sure.
out because the star has fallen, in my opinion, for Kenny and the Bucks as well.
Oh,
Because
yes.
this shit sucks. This shit
I'm glad we're on
sucks.
the same page about that. Yes.
Because like Kenny was one of the hottest, like, best things going. And whenever he first came back and like he was wearing the
The
like shoulder
shoulder thing.
protector
Yeah.
and was doing the story of is he 100%? I wanted to see that story. I
You
wanted
did
to
for
see
20 minutes.
about 3 fucking weeks. And
Yeah.
then now we've got Kansas.
Well,
Kansas.
Kansas. It sucks. So that's my number 3. I get the feeling we will
Yeah,
probably line up on our top 2, but we will see. Who do you have?
maybe. I mean, if last year's something to go on. So my number 2
Mm-hmm.
for this year is a relative newcomer. Did not know about him until this year.
Never mind.
Had not seen clips, had not seen anything. And I got to see him in person, and he is more impressive in person than you can ever fucking imagine.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, and that is Konosuke Takeshita.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Valid.
Um, like one, he is seems like you always got to say that with wrestlers. Seems like a genuinely nice dude.
I'm trying to imagine Konosuke Takeshita being a big piece of shit in person. It's really
He
funny.
probably drowns kitty cats or something.
Listen, that boy is on Twitter like having nice exchanges with Cinnabon constantly.
Yeah,
Like there's
yeah.
no way. He's too sweet and he's like, I'm going to move to America. I will find an apartment and live a sheltered life in my nice apartment. It's like he's a cartoon character. Like it's wonderful.
It's a coming of age like anime. Um, and the thing is, he loves pro wrestling, and you can
Oh.
tell that. I
Mm-hmm.
got to see him wrestle JD Drake
Mm-hmm.
live for a dark taping, and this guy should be an honorable mention. That's JD Drake and Anthony Henry, the
Mm-hmm.
workhorseman, because JD Drake loves professional wrestling.
Sure.
And even though Konosuke and JD Drake only had, I think it was maybe an 8 minute match or so, you could tell, like live in the crowd, that they loved doing what they were doing.
Mm-hmm.
And that passion is unteachable because there have absolutely been people in the business who don't give a shit about it and are there only for the money.
Mm-hmm.
And Konosuke radiates one talent. He is talented. He hits the ropes faster than just about anyone. And it's all these little things, and his blue thunder bomb is a thing
Oh
of
yeah.
beauty. His leaping clothesline, his jumping knee that he learned from Jun Akiyama, which was passed down from Jumbo Saruta, like
Mm-hmm.
he is the legacy of what we are watching on on the normal Burning Yammer show.
Yes.
He he's amazing. Every match he has been insane. His match with John Moxley, where Moxley didn't bleed for once and it was Konosuke Takeshita who bled.
Mm-hmm.
Holy shit.
Yeah.
So I
Uh,
love him.
I love Takeshita to death. He is incredible. I think he'd probably be like my number 6 or 7 or something. He's the only reason he's not in my top 5 is
Mhm.
um I feel like he should have won by now. Which is a booking thing. Wrestling wise, the guy's out of this world. He is very, very, very good.
Yeah.
It took them so long to sign him. It was just like they need to get him. I don't know what they have to do because I think he was in
Yeah.
DDT.
Yeah. He was in DDT. He was essentially on loan. Like they
Yes.
were doing a essentially Young Lion excursion program.
I honestly kind of feel bad for DDT because it's like, man, if I was DDT, I'd be like, please just stay here. You're so fucking good.
Yeah.
So he's clearly amazing. Not in my top 5, but you'll hear about him later. I love Takeshi to death. Yeah.
I understand. It makes sense. Like I said, the thing that really gets me about him is his story.
Yes.
Granted, it hasn't played out on television too terrible much. I mean, they're like, oh wow, this young kid, this young lion, is traveling on excursion. They get that across. But when Takeshita wins a big match, which I think if they're smart, it'll be against Claudio,
Right.
and give him that ROH championship.
Right. So I generally don't like white meat baby faces as a rule. But the thing about that is if you're going to be a white meat baby face, you need to like really be one in real life. Because one of the things I'll give like Bret Hart, for example, is I really think Bret Hart is mostly just a good person. I mean, he cheated on his wife, but
Come on.
whatever. I mean, that's low on the list of wrestling like scandals and horrible things to do.
For as much as he suffered in his life at the hands of his abusive father, like the fact that he cheated on his wife, it could have been worse.
But the thing is like you could tell Bret like is that kind of person. Like he is the way he comes across as a white meat babyface on TV. And Takeshita also, like when he lost to Moxley and he cuts promos that's like, I just hope one day I can finally beat him. And you're like, I believe it. Like it's white meat. Like if Sammy Guevara was saying it, I'd be like, fuck off. But like the minute Takeshita does it, it's like, he's just like that though. And I'll tell you what, in the same turn, dude ever turns heel, you will feel betrayed. You will feel horrible in your heart. It will be amazing. Yeah, see? You just thinking about it. Thinking about heel Takeshita hurts me inside.
Oh,
It can't
no.
happen.
Stop. No.
It's like heel Cena. It can't happen. You can't do that. Anyway. So yeah.
Who
Great
is
pick.
your number 2?
My number 2 for best wrestler of the year is Eddie Kingston. Now, Eddie Kingston did not do near as much this year. If you really think about it, however, the highs were very high. The main something that will probably be forgotten about next year is this Jun Akiyama match.
My God.
This was a fucking pre-show match to Full Gear. Don't quote me. It's the last show, I think. Yeah. And they killed each other. It was fucking awesome. It was one of the best matches on the entire show, and it was on the pre-show. And Eddie clearly, it was so important to him. Eddie threw Sammy Guevara off a cage, which I have to give him a massive amount of credit for, even if it was booked that way. I just support that behavior. Probably one of the negatives for him is that Sammy took him off TV, the fucker. And I am still mad at him for this. But Eddie, I mean, probably had the moment of the year in Anarchy in the Arena. Literally just fucking star-making shot. Okay, I talked about I want to believe stuff is happening in wrestling. Okay?
Yes.
I believed that Eddie Kingston was going to immolate a man. And I know it's fake.
60 seconds where I was like looking for someone to have that Cody Rhodes gel on them. Remember that shit where we thought Cody's skin was flaking off?
Yeah.
I was looking for it. I was like, oh my god, is someone slathering themselves in jelly right now? Fuck.
So that's a testament to Eddie. Eddie can make you believe he wants to immolate a man and put him on fire and kill him. He can make you believe he really wants to throw a man off a cage. He's great. Practically, I saw him live, which is a little bit of bias to me. I saw him fight. He tagged with Okada against Jay White and Juice Robinson.
Oh.
And watching Eddie Kingston get as much babyface heat as Kazuchika Okada is something else. That tells you how fucking good Eddie Kingston is. He was great all year. Fuck Sammy Guevara for taking him off TV for a while. He's currently doing this House of Black stuff where they're trying to, whatever. It's the new year. We'll see how it goes. But, I mean, we said it last year that this should be the year. I mean, at this point, if 2023 is not the year that Eddie wins the belt, I don't know what to tell you. The man should be on top at some point. Come on now. And MJF has given me some hope here and there. Every time he cuts promos or makes lists about his people that he wants to fight, Eddie's on the list. So, we'll see.
It writes itself. Is Eddie has touched my heart in a way that I rarely let wrestlers do anymore. Because they're bad people who break my heart constantly.
I'm sure Eddie's been a bad person. He'll tell you that. He'll be the first to tell you that.
That's the thing. Eddie has absolutely been a bad person, but he is on a personal, like, non-kayfabe, like, redemption arc.
Mm-hmm.
Because he has recognized the bad shit he has done.
Mm-hmm.
And that, strikes me because that's a story that always gets me is someone who has done bad things seeking absolution. And that is part of the thing with Eddie. Because, I mean, you remember Eddie came out with that, written article, talking about his struggles and everything. And yeah, he might be lying. He's carny. I don't know. Maybe not.
He's always working on some level, which I'm fine. Because, again, his character it just is who he is.
I believe him, though.
Right.
And that's the thing. It's one of those things of, Eddie, the highs have been high for me in wrestling, and it's because of Eddie, and the lows have been low in wrestling.
Yes.
And it's not because of Eddie, but because of it's been involved with Eddie.
Mm-hmm. I agree.
Okay. Bert,
well, we clearly have the same number one, Anthony. There is no question.
Well, no.
Oh, come on.
It dovetails into my number one.
Oh.
That is Eddie Kingston.
Oh my God. What? Oh, I'm baffled now. Okay, that's fine.
So
I mean, I love it still.
Just to clear the air here.
Sure.
You remember how last year we had several people that we just didn't list, otherwise the list would be...
I understand.
Jon Moxley head and shoulders above everyone.
Yes.
If Jon Moxley is not your number one, you are a fool. You are a
Oh.
fool.
Oh, well, Hook is my
But-
number one, but we'll get into that
Damn.
after you're done. Angelo Parker here actually is who I have.
God. Oh, Angelico.
Serpentico.
So, real quick, just to explain the lows in wrestling that I felt, because after this match,
Mhm.
I did not keep up with my wrestling
Spreadsheet.
matches and my spreadsheet until probably about a month or two ago. I picked it back up because I finally feel like wrestling is getting on its leg, because shortly after the barbed wire thing was the scrum.
Yeah.
I think. I'm pretty sure
Think so.
the barbed wire match happened before the scrum.
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, because it was like kind of a 1-2 punch where it was like, this bummed me out.
Mm-hmm.
I was there live to see this match, and Eddie Kingston's music hit, and everyone stood up in the arena. We were all standing the entire time, losing our fucking minds, because the match, up until the end, is good. It is really good. And we're like, just like hush, just like, oh God. And you would hear us pop and everything, but we're like, not because we're not into the match, but because we're just like staring, like, oh God, what are they going to do? And it gets to the last moments, and here comes Sammy fucking Guevara, who throws everyone off. That last little bit where fucking
remember.
Eddie whiffs the goddamn Urukai.
They fucked the finishers
And-
up, yeah.
Yeah, Eddie whiffs the Urukai because Sammy is not in the place he needs to be and is running around like a chicken with his head cut off. And Jericho has to, like, stutter stop several times to get the Judas effect. And the fact that Jericho won.
Mm-hmm.
Jericho is great sometimes about losing in places where he just should.
Mm-hmm.
And he is also notorious for one for you, one for me.
Yeah, the rubber banding, yeah.
And the thing is, if you look at their two matches that they had, if it had been reversed, if Jericho had cheated to win the first one and then we built to this one and Eddie Kingston won this,
would have been fine.
Amazing. Eddie could have probably rode the rest of the year on that.
Mm-hmm.
But because of that and because of the disappointment, you can look and say, oh, well, Eddie Kingston, threw Jericho into the barbed wire and got his heat back or whatever. No, it wasn't the same. Was not the same. Awful, terrible, but Eddie lives on in my heart. I'm curious about this House of Black stuff. It seems slapped together to me.
Yeah.
But
We'll
if
see.
they can make it work, Eddie can make it work.
I
Remember, there was the 1 week build to a CM Punk match, and we were completely invested.
Well, yeah, because that's the two best talkers and guys in the business. I think most House of Black things feel thrown together because the stable by nature is difficult to book. It's one of those things where they're a weird cult and they're guys that are very threatening, but you can't have them constantly win because then they would just get to the belts, and it's weird. It's hard to book, I would say.
Well, it's the trios, they need them.
I mean, right
there.
now they should be in line for the trios belts, but well, that's a whole other fucking matter at the moment because we're just clogging that fucking scene with a ridiculous nonsense angle.
It should have been first I don't know, like if they had shortened the series
Three,
down,
maybe.
like three out of five. 3 out of 5.
Maybe 2 out of 3 would have been fine for me. Like honestly, they should have. I thought the whole angle ran its course after the first because they did the whole hammer business anyway. But anyway, we'll see where House of Black goes. So yeah. Eddie
Eddie
obviously
is my
amazing.
number one.
Okay, well,
And then towering above everyone beyond reproach is John Moxley.
I have Parker Boudreaux, but
Oh fuck.
Parker Boudreaux has had no. Yes, my number one is obviously John Moxley.
Mhm.
We'll just go. I mean, look, if you watched wrestling in 2022, it's just incredibly obvious. John Moxley was like the man of the year.
Yeah.
John Moxley. So I mentioned like Punk strapped a rocket to the company,
Mhm.
but like the foundation of the company is John Moxley, and you know the
John
elite.
Moxley was the rocket fuel.
The elite and
Like-
Kenny and all of them can say, well, we founded the company and blah, blah, blah. Look, I get that John Moxley came into the company, but he is like,
He's a
he is
cornerstone.
pro wrestling. Like,
Yeah.
and everything he talks about gives back to the sport, is about how great the sport is. Everything he does is about the legacy of fucking wrestling and shit. He doesn't do like a huge amount of moves. He does what he does and it works. He bleeds in every match and people to the point that people think it's like annoying. People outside of it think it's funny, and I'm like, look, he's a guy that he incorporates everything that made him who he is into who he is now. Like, he was a deathmatch guy. He was a brawler, and he's back to being like, it's crazy to me if you go back and watch a Dean Ambrose match, how night and day it is.
Yeah.
Like, you can see a little bit of him, but now you watch him, it's like, oh, that's John Moxley. I get it. The dude went to rehab for being an alcoholic.
Yeah,
came
that
back.
was this year.
That was this year.
Jesus.
It's crazy to think that was this fucking year. That man had a struggle with alcoholism and where he had to leave the sport. And he came back and was on top for most of the fucking year and had just, he got rid of his vacation to make sure the company was good with him on top. He gave everything he fucking could to this business.
Yeah.
And pretty much every fucking thing he did all year was awesome. I can't think of anything bad he ever did. This isn't like, again, WWE, you know, the man had a cage match with Jericho with a fucking potted plant.
Oh,
like,
Jesus Christ.
he was constantly, you were looking at Dean Ambrose in WWE like, what in the fuck is happening? This man is falling apart. And in AEW, it's like, he's incapable of doing anything bad. It's not possible. Like,
Yeah.
I can't imagine him cutting a bad promo. Even when he cuts he had his mic go out last week and he said fuck twice.
Yep.
And it was awesome. I wasn't like, man, Moxley fucked up. I was like, this guy's so cool. He's so good.
Yep.
So yeah, beyond reproach this year. He's just incredible.
Yeah. No, and he also, one of the things that I appreciate is he has normalized the idea of the eliminator matches.
Yes.
People who are bad and dumb don't like the eliminator matches because they're like, oh, all of a sudden this one guy or whatever, they'll usually say some jobber is fighting for the title. Good. The most important and fun times are whenever people break out of their tiers of the card to fight someone else in those tiers. Does it always work out? No. But the thing is, you'll get stuff that you weren't expecting, like Moxley's match with Mance Warner. Mance Warner wrestles pretty much exactly like John Moxley. And you would think it would be just kind of a boring match. It was fun. It was wild. I got to learn about a new dude, Old Mancer. I love Mance Warner now. Holy shit.
Yeah.
And it brings that element of what if all of a sudden there was Konosuke Takeshita after a couple of months fighting John Moxley for a world title eliminator thing. It's like, what if? What if?
Yeah.
That rule.
That's the other thing is like, people will give Jericho a lot of credit for the Action Andretti thing, and I, it was a cool thing. I thought it was great, but like,
Good.
but Jericho goes back and forth on who to put over and how to build.
Yeah.
He has his own idea of it, and I don't hate it.
One for me.
I mean, like, but it does work in a vacuum.
Yeah.
But every person Moxley faces comes out looking better. Like every time. He
got
built
Juice
people.
Robinson a fucking job.
He built people like all year. He built Yuta, he built Dante. You can directly point to points in those guys' career where they fought John Moxley and it was better for them. And I mean, all the JAS guys were better off feuding with Blackpool. And it wasn't just because of Brian. Like, it was clearly Moxley was a huge part of that. It's just like this is a very weird comparison, but it reminds me of like towards the end of Cena's career. I mean, he's still going, quote unquote, but when Cena was like gatekeeping the belt,
2016
when he was like, I'll fight anybody, and he got this big Owens program, the big AJ program. It was, those guys were built off of Cena, and Cena didn't lose all the time, or really even that much at all. But he got that, like, okay, these guys are going to be competitive with me when I'm basically the last big star of this business. That makes them look like stars. And so Moxley just gets that. He is in that position where it's like, I'm going to give Yuta, like, all this time and have him almost win. And that will make me look just as good as I always did. And it'll make Yuta look like $1 million in comparison to where he was. Like, they just get that. So
yeah, and I don't think you saw Rampage this last week, but one of the matches was Bryan Danielson and John Moxley versus Darius and Dante Martin.
Yeah,
and that match fucking
I did see that.
Rules.
It was great. Yeah,
like the Dante and Darius were like, "Fuck you, we're coming at you."
I do want Dante to finally beat Moxley, but yes, they're building that. Like, it's working on me. Like, I am getting to it. Yeah. So.
Yeah, and I mean, John Moxley could have easily like looked at the scrum and been like, "I don't know anything about this," and just gone on vacation.
Yeah.
He was within his rights, and everyone would have been like, "Yeah, I don't blame you for hanging out for a while." But because his philosophy of pro wrestling and his love of pro wrestling, he stuck with it, and he helped to create. He was already having match of the year, or I mean, not necessarily match of the year, but wrestler of the year contention before that. But after that, he continued to just do the same thing.
Yeah.
He was wrestling week in and week out. He is the most tired man in wrestling. And good God.
Yeah, and Punk got hurt around Forbidden Door time, remember? And Moxley, that was scary at the time. It was like, I don't know how well this is going to go. I don't know who they're going to put the belt on, because it was hot on Punk. So and Moxley made that shit work. He started doing what he's doing now at that point. I mean, it's kind of like, I kind of forget he doesn't have the belt and MJF has it. I kind of just forget, because he's just the guy, even without the belt. Like,
I think AEW World Champion, I think John Moxley.
Totally.
No, like, I would have liked for it to have been associated with Hangman, but the booking with Hangman was just so bad, because he'd have a match that was good, really good. Like, the 3 weeks before and the 3 weeks after the Lance Archer match, we didn't see him. I'd love to know what the deal was. Was he recovering from something?
Maybe.
Was that intentional to, like... Because sometimes I think Tony Khan has these antiquated ideas of less is more, and it works in certain circumstances.
Yeah.
But you need your world champion to have a promo, to like go out there and do something every week. The champion should be, if we're going to have these old school ideas, the workhorse.
So
And John Moxley is the benchmark and has proved that.
I think it might be a style thing. I like, because the thing I think about Hangman's title run is when he had a match, it was fucking crazy. Like, it was a crazy knockdown, drag out match. And I think that kind of takes its toll. Like, Moxley has title matches, and they're great. They're really good, but they're not, like, Moxley's not doing 450s and stuff, and he's not, like, putting his body on the line. And I think Hangman does. Hangman's like, fuck it, it's time. Every time he has a match, which that ends up, I think, like, the next week, you're like, yeah, can I take a week off because I just had a fucking death match with Lance Archer?
Yeah, because he
like,
did
Christ.
Umahara moonsault 10 feet on the ground to land on his feet. Like,
Exactly.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah. And I don't even think Hangman has to do that. I mean, it's great he does. Like, it's great he goes out there and tries, but maybe scale it back a little bit so you can work every week.
Yeah, scale it back a little bit, and that would be fine. I mean, he's got an impressive enough moveset, is the thing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Some people just don't have dynamic moves that they do, like personality and just being a dumb fucking person aside. Bobby Fish, one of the reasons no one likes him is because he doesn't have any dynamic moves. He has a Falcon Arrow. That is the only move that I can think of that he does. Otherwise, it's punch and kick.
And he's a carny.
Yeah. And you look at John Moxley. John Moxley does a ton of moves. I know he gets pegged as not doing that many, but you've got the Bulldog Choke. You've got the King Kong Lariat.
King Kong Lariat. Paradigm Shift.
Death Rider, Paradigm Shift, which are distinct from each other, and I appreciate that.
The X-Plex, which is the most awesome fucking move.
X-Plex. God. His
I
German
love that.
suplexes.
Yeah.
He'll go into those key locks sometimes, those Kimuras. He has relatively simple moves, but he does them extremely well, and they flow together in his brawling, kicking, punching style. Whereas Bobby Fish, okay, you see a Falcon Arrow, and sometimes he'll do it from the top rope. I guess that's cool.
He's Bobby Fish. You just wait till Red Dragon comes back. Not gonna happen.
Fucking Jesus
Red
Christ.
Dragon was awesome when they were a thing, but once Kyle gets back, I'm sure it'll be a thing. I don't know, man.
Kyle was doing great.
What's I don't know how he got hurt, but man, he's out for a while.
His back. I'm pretty sure it's a back injury.
Well, I'm excited to see him come back because I love Kyle to death. Yeah. So we have my mom's top 5 as well.
Oh yeah, let's see.
That's right.
All right, third member of the pod coming in.
That's right. Number 5. She said I couldn't decide between Willow or Claudio.
Willow Nightingale.
I wanted Willow to be in there because I wanted a woman to be on there. So Willow. So this is my mom saying, "Oh right, women are good too. I'm technically a feminist." This is me. This is me mocking my mom for doing this. No, I get it though.
Willow.
Willow's fun. But Claudio deserved it more, is all I'm saying. I do like Willow, though. Number 4 is Orange
Willow
Cassidy.
Will come up in a few things for me,
sure.
You know.
Number 4 is Orange Cassidy.
Makes sense.
Valid. I think Orange just had a good year.
His All-Atlantic run has been very good.
Well, challenger-wise, whatever, but Orange has been very good.
The fact that, like, people will come up and start talking shit to Orange, and he just interrupts them and goes, "Okay, well, you want a match? Yeah, let's do it."
It's funny, yeah. It's very good.
Very fucking funny.
Number 3, she said, "Here, I had an issue here because Darby was my first thought, but I want to see him do better in his matches. So I'm picking Yuta, because Darby, because her main thing is in every match, mainly with Darby matches, Darby always looks like he's going to lose.
Yeah.
So Yuta is her number 3, and Darby is another discussion.
Both good, but I understand it. I understand.
Number 2, she said number 2 is Moxley because he's
Yeah.
Moxley. That was her reason. He would be number 1, but she has a personal thing for number 1. And number 1.
Jungle Boy.
Good guess. Number 1 is Wardlow. She says, I have a thing for Wardlow. I don't know why.
Yeah.
I have a pretty good reason. I have a pretty good guess why, because he's Wardlow. Like, come on.
Yeah, I mean, look at that, man. They make Grecian statues that look like Wardlow.
I don't know.
Like,
his hair's gone by the wayside. He's fucking cut his ponytail off out of nowhere. Fucking crazy. I don't know what they're thinking. But,
that did happen.
Yeah, it just happened randomly. Anyway.
Who did that? Who did that?
Joe.
Joe.
Which would be the guy to do it, but still.
Yeah.
It's just so random. They immediately went into the Darby feud, which was like, oh, okay, you just cut that dude's hair off. He should kill you. I don't know. Anyway, so that's her top 5. Which is a good top 5. I kind of agree with a lot of it outside of Wardlow.
That's a really good top 5. And, like, based on what you see of the product, all of that makes complete sense.
I agree. Yeah.
Yeah. That ain't bad at all.
Cool. So now we're doing top 5 matches.
Yep.
That should go a little quicker because there's not that much to talk about.
Number 5 for me.
Mm-hmm.
Jamie Hayter and Hikaru Shida.
Great match. I love that.
That was a toss off.
Yep.
An absolute toss off.
Mm-hmm.
Where, Jamie said it's going to be like an AJPW women's match. It was. And it delivered.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my God. I loved it. And like you had said earlier, it immediately showed that Jamie Hayter is not going to, have the hangman treatment done to her. She hasn't been as prominent because Britt's been kind of like stepping on her in promos and stuff.
Which is fine.
But it's an intentional choice. I think they're still trying to build for the Jamie Hayter Britt Baker feud.
Yep.
Which that's fine. But Jamie Hayter coming straight out the gate with a barn burner like that in the main event slot. Awesome. Awesome match.
Yeah, I thought it was great. Everything I thought it should have been. The finish was absolutely great. The last sequence, they did a very good job of just kicking out, going crazy, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So yeah, great match. My number 5 was also a Dynamite match.
Mm-hmm.
June 26th, Blood and Guts. So this match was not perfect, and I don't.
Was
care.
it the Blood and Guts match?
It was the Blood and Guts match.
Yeah.
It was not perfect, and I don't care. It was fucking hilarious and insane, and I still kind of can't believe it happened on TV. When I think about it, it's like a pay-per-view thing. They just had a War Games match on TV. Imagine going to see that live. I can't even picture it.
Insane.
When you think about the fucking giant swing on top of the cage and shit.
Yeah, and
that
Jericho
happened on TV. What?
Yeah. I love the fact that Jericho legit was like, nope, I told Claudio to stop. I lost it.
I don't blame him. That was absolutely one of the crazier spots of the year. All this stuff with, you got to see Matt Menard, Angela Parker, Daniel Garcia. I even thought, I really thought Hager was very, very good in this match. He did a lot of great
Hager's
work.
going through a renaissance. I appreciate him more now than I ever have.
They just needed to give him a hat, I guess.
He loves that hat.
He does love that hat. But yeah, great match. Had everything going for it. Happened on TV somehow. Every guy got fucking gigged. Matt Menard was bleeding everywhere. Craziness. Worth a watch again. It was just a lot of fun.
Oh yeah. Yeah. So my number 4 match, this was one that I was I'd been looking forward to it because I knew it would eventually come down the pike. Some people were mad that it took that long to get there, but I understand because of inter business reasons between the different promotions and everything.
Mm-hmm.
But FTR versus Dim Boys, number one.
Number one. Okay.
The very first one was excellent.
Yeah.
It was so good. Not to say the second one was bad. It was very good as well, but it was a step below, and I still haven't seen
The last
the
one,
the dog
which is
collar,
supposedly
which,
quote unquote the best one, but it just depends who you ask. Yeah.
yeah. But the build up of FTR versus Dim Boys, it mainly happened over social media,
Mm-hmm.
and a lot of people were kind of sick of hearing about it because they had been quipping at each other every couple of months for a good long while.
Yeah.
But for me, seeing once again these two philosophies of wrestling coming at each other, because Dem Boys love pro wrestling and FTR absolutely love pro wrestling, but they love it in different ways.
Mm-hmm.
And seeing their styles clash together for the first time was magical.
Yeah.
I loved it.
Yeah, I think I only saw number 2, which was, God, was that it? Death Before Dishonor? Maybe?
Yeah,
That
because
sounds
I
like
think the
something.
first one was Super Card of Honor, then Death Before Dishonor, and
Hmm.
then Final Battle.
Okay. Yeah. So, really good. I mean, I haven't seen all of them yet. I heard the last one was amazing, but there was no way I was watching Final Battle. No offense to Final Battle, but that show was not built correctly at all.
No, they either got to get a different show to put a lot of these people on, an actual ROH show, or if it's not happening in the new TV deal that they're doing, cut that shit.
Now I'm trying to check something. Sorry. Okay. When was Blood and Guts? June 29th. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, June 29th. I think I said June 26th, and that's important to me because my number 4 took place 3 days earlier, which was Tam Nakano versus Natsupoi at Stardom Fight in the Top 2022.
God, in the Rusty Cage match.
Yes. So, ironically, they had that match and the Blood and Guts match within 3 days. Natsupoi had been gone for a while. I believe she was injured. And Natsupoi is fucking incredible if you've never seen her. She's awesome. Tam Nakano is, of course, awesome. But these two very nice young women absolutely murdered each other in a cage, in a nasty, disgusting cage. And
their hair was getting caught in the chain links and just pulling it out, especially Tam's. Because Natsupoi has shorter hair, but she was still eating it into the fucking cage. But poor Tam just has all of her hair just getting drug out by this cage. You could see strands of it everywhere.
Yeah, and I think we both watched this together on Discord.
We did.
But this was my women's match of the year just because, I mean, if I'm being honest, it's because I didn't watch enough Stardom.
Yeah.
But
I didn't watch enough Stardom either.
it's hard. I watch a lot of wrestling. This was an absolutely crazy match. Natsupoi kind of deserves to have a match somewhere on here for me.
Yeah.
And yeah, apparently I like crazy cage matches, so what do you know?
Hey.
You just wait till I get my number 1, Luchasaurus versus Jungle Boy.
That was a good one.
It was good.
cage
It's not my
match.
number 1.
Yeah.
It's just a joke.
Yeah.
It is underrated. People will forget it happened in like 5 months, but
Yeah.
it was fun. You should
Yeah,
watch it.
because the whole bungling of Christian with the injury and everything really
Yeah.
threw, because that uh that rivalry, Christian versus Jungle Boy,
Mhm.
was in a world where Christian didn't get injured. That was probably going to be some top tier shit.
Listen, Christian alternate realities are always the best realities. Can you imagine a world where Christian beat Kenny Omega for the title? Think about it.
It did happen.
It did happen. It happened. They fought. He had the AAA belt. Christian did. No, wait, he had the TNA belt, I think. It was the TNA belt.
No, he won the Impact Championship from
Right.
Kenny Omega on the very first Rampage.
So imagine if Christian won the main belt and the TNA belt, and he was the man, and Kenny just lost. I'm telling you. And then Christian fought Omega. I mean, and he fought Hangman, and then he beat Hangman.
Just a Katamari Damacy, and the center is.
I'm
Christian
telling you,
Cage.
it would be so good. No, it's fine.
Oh my god!
I miss Christian. That's all.
Yeah.
Amazing. So yeah, that was my number 4. What is yours?
Number 3. I love this match. We talked about it earlier with the entrances or the entrance, because it shouldn't have worked, because MJF taking CM Punk's cult of personality. What a wrestling thing.
He didn't have the rights to it anymore. It's like Scissor Me Daddy or whatever.
Yeah, that bullshit. And that shit sucked, by the way.
Oh, no shit. You don't say.
But this worked. And yeah, so it was CM Punk versus MJF at AEW Revolution, March 6th.
Great match.
It is a great match. It is a masterclass in storytelling. We got to see the that was where Wardlow became his own person. And then he
realized he was a real boy and not a wooden puppet.
Yep. And it was, his match with MJF afterward should have slingshotted him. But, because of,
they had all the business
once
with
again,
MJF
backstage weirdness and everything, people's egos getting the fuck in the way.
It's kind of easy to forget about all that now after the scrum. It's like, oh, right, MJF was, like, being shit for a month.
Yeah, the biggest fucking story at that time, was, MJF didn't go to a meet and greet. And now we're like, that's quaint.
Yes.
How fucking quaint.
He took a plane.
Ooh. A decade happened in a single year as far as wrestling is concerned. But the match itself was excellent. CM Punk led like crazy all over his white shorts. MJF continued to sell his knee in the middle of a match for some fucking reason. Don't know why he does that, but it happens every match.
It works every time, that's why. It's because he does a lot of moves with his knee.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway.
And so, yeah, it was a great match with great storytelling, and was like, once it happened, I was like, just satisfied. Like after reading a good story or watching a good movie, it was like, that was good.
Yeah, it was great. Good number 3. So my number 3 is Hangman Adam Page versus Bryan Danielson Dynamite January 5th. So when this match happened, it was the very beginning of the year. It was literally 3 days ago to the year. And I said, there is no way they're going to have a better match this year. Anybody's going to have a better match this year. It was so good. At the time, I was like, how do you have that at the beginning of the year? No one's going to fucking beat that. And of course, people are probably saying that about Will Ospreay versus Kenny Omega, right? And fuck off, whatever. I haven't watched it yet. I'm sure I've got
the show. We can watch it at some point in bits.
I'll have to watch it because of how many journalists are blowing their brains out about it. But my point is when this happened last year, it was just consensus, obviously the fucking best thing ever. Like it was, they went 60 minutes draw before, and this was the one where they went like 55 minutes and Hangman won. I believe. Yeah, that was the second one. And it was just, I can't really explain how perfectly paced it was. It was just like, it did not, first of all, obviously did not feel like 55 minutes. And it was one of those cases where the minute, it was awesome the whole entire way through, and the minute it got to 50 minutes, I think I said at the time, oh, Hangman's going to win. They're not going the full 60. They're angling it so, like, that's the story they're telling. And knowing what was going to happen actually made it better. Like, when it happened, I was like, they did it. Oh, my God, they did it. They did exactly what they should have done. It was perfect.
Yep.
Everything about it was perfect. It's kind of quaint to think back on it now, because it's weird. Like Hangman had the title, and he beat Bryan Danielson, and at that point, we were still on the high of Hangman so it was like, man, this might be like, the
sky's the limit.
This might be like the best title run in history. And then, like, everything hadn't gotten there yet. But like
2 months later, he finally had another match against Lance Archer,
which was awesome. But like, it was like, at the time,
if Hangman had been out there doing promos and everything like every week, or at least every other week, we'd have been like, yeah, we're seeing Hangman. Fuck yeah. But he would go weeks and we would see nothing.
Yeah.
Hear nothing.
This specific match was right place, right time, right build, right result. Everything was in the right place. And at the time I was like, that's a 5-star match. Pretty obviously. And I don't think they're going to do better than that all year. Now, granted, it's my number 3. So, but I will say, like, my perspective on what I wanted out of matches kind of evolved a little this year. I think before this, like, my idea of the best match of all time was like Omega Okada 2 or something like that. It was a very specific thing, very long and drawn out, lots of back and forth spots, storytelling craziness. Like, you kind of get blown up part of the way through, and then it just keeps building and building until it's like assaulting you with how good it is. And that was like my concept going into this. That's basically what this match was. And my 2 above that are not that kind of thing, but they made me change my perspective on that, So cool.
Like I said, this should inform you on how what really makes me go for stories and everything in wrestling, because my number 2 is Eddie Kingston. You might be mad at me. Versus Chris Jericho at AEW Revolution.
No, I thought that was a great match. I have no problem with that match. That was a good match.
Because that was Chris Jericho wrestled Eddie Kingston's King's Road match. Because if you remember, immediately Chris Jericho got dumped on top of his head in a half and half.
Yes, that was great.
No, it was so good.
So Jericho cannot go in certain matchups. I think Eddie is fine against Jericho. The problem factor with Eddie versus Chris Jericho is Sammy Guevara. That's the problem variable that you don't want. And then once he's facing Danielson does not work like Eddie Kingston at all. He is a very fast, technical worker, and I don't think Jericho matches up with that. But Eddie is just fine. It works just great. And they've had a bunch of matches before that have been good. So,
I loved it because it was one, Jericho wrestling just Eddie Kingston's King's Road style. They walked the King's Road. And the whole time I was watching it, I was just delighted. And the fact that Eddie won and proved that he doesn't have, like, that, like, he can win the big one. Like, it was a big thing because right after he won, he looked at Aubrey and was like, did I just win? And, like, on Eddie's face, he looked legitimately like, oh my God, did I just do it? He's such a good actor and can pull that out of me that, seeing Eddie win whenever, like, it's been like, Eddie, whenever it's the big one, you lose, which is historically true.
Yep.
He should have beat CM Punk, didn't beat CM Punk. He should have beat Bryan Danielson, didn't beat Bryan Danielson. He should have beat Suzuki, didn't beat Suzuki. And, there were those 3 matches, like, pretty close to each other, in all honesty, that, like, kept that Eddie momentum going. And then his Miro match,
Yeah.
which, hindsight, he should have won that because it could have saved us from knowing about this Sammy Guevara business. Could have saved us. Imagine that timeline, Bert.
Oh, where Sammy Guevara dies and goes to his home planet? I imagine that timeline all the time. I mean, granted, Sammy, they had their moment of trying to push him for some reason, and now they've finally backed off on it. I don't know what they were thinking, but
Jesus Christ.
I mean, his story this year has been baffling for lots of reasons, but yeah.
So, that is my number 2 match because it was one of those that made me feel so good. And also the wrestling, it was hard hitting. Jericho took bumps and risks that I haven't seen him do in a long time. And it was for Eddie. And then the barbed wire match happened. We won't talk about that.
It's fine. We won't talk
anymore.
about that. Not now. Okay. Good pick. So my number 2.
Yeah, I'm really curious to see what your number 2 is.
Really? I don't think you know what my number 1 is, but maybe you do. My number 2.
I'm curious for both of these, just because the way you set up with, Hangman and Danielson. So
sure.
Yeah,
my number 2 is Anarchy in the Arena from Double or Nothing.
So
Anarchy in the Arena.
It's a masterpiece.
Going in, I thought, oh right, like Stadium Stampede, okay, and that was my mentality. Like, right, they're gonna fight around the building, and they're gonna have a go-kart, and like, it was just nothing that I could have possibly foreseen happening, and it was awesome the entire time. It was
dream.
Exactly. It was a spectacle that you could not have imagined. And so, like, usually when you say that in wrestling, like, if somebody said that to me, I'd be like, oh, it's like Firefly Funhouse or some shit. I don't want anything to do with that. The Boneyard. I don't know what the fuck we're doing. Ugh. So this was like, first of all, it was not cinematic at all. It was cinematic, but they didn't record it. The main thing was this match started, and basically it started with crowd brawling, and they, like, I don't know who is responsible for this decision, but it's one of the greatest decisions made all year. John Moxley's music was playing, which is Wild Thing, and thank God they got rid of the old version of Wild Thing they had, and they have the drum jet version finally, but it was playing. They were killing each other through the crowd, and it kept playing. And it started looping, and I said, oh man, it hit a point where your brain went, they've been fighting so long that it's looping. That's funny. And then it hit another point where you're like, oh wait, they're not going to stop the music. This is so fucking cool. Like, you instantly were taken into a different world where it's like, oh shit, this is insane. Like, I don't have any basis for what is happening at this point.
Yeah.
And the entire match felt like that the entire time. It was like, I don't know what's going to happen next. I have no concept of what they are doing.
Yeah,
the
so like
entire time.
when the song would wind down, like the first time we're like, okay, yeah, it's gonna stop, because we're just watching and it didn't, and it started back. We were like, what the fuck? And then the third time, it's like we were waiting for that point, and I think it was intentional.
It had to be.
No,
You could
I mean,
see
I
the
know it's
crowd
like-
having the same reaction. They're like, "Oh my god, it's just still going. This is amazing. It's like a
Well,
party."
I know it was intentional.
Yes.
Because I think that they thought they were doing a lot of crowd brawling and everything like that. They needed to do something to keep people engaged. Otherwise, they're just moving back and forth between shots that won't make any cohesive sense.
Totally correct.
The crowd mentally is like hearing this inexplicable wild thing music and it's looping. That gives them a 2 to 3 minute point where like you get reinvested because the fucking song is playing again. Fuck yeah.
It was
Like, and that was our reaction. We got worked.
Yes.
So hard
by a
simple
stupid song. Yeah.
psychological like literally Chris Jericho went to like a market research and like learned how to do advertising for this.
It was exactly like when fucking Natural Born Killers would play. And
During a New Jack
and
match,
New Jack
that
would
shit whips.
come out and throw the shit out of the trash can, but it was like exponentially that. Like it was like even crazier. And then I mean, this all like I'm pretty sure Eddie dragged Daniel Garcia backstage to like a shoot and threw him in somewhere, and we never heard from him again. The rest, I was like, I think he killed that man. And of course, at the end, Eddie came out with the gas can. Not to even the rest of the match was absolutely. You forget the amount of dumb, crazy shit that happened in this match. It literally. I don't think a single person, even the people involved, really saw what was happening at the end of that. Like nobody was like, this will end up like this. It was one of those magical things that just happens the way it happens. Perfect in the way it happens. And yeah, so it was easily number 2 for me. And it's crazy to think that like, even on paper, like a stadium stampede match is typically not like, what a all-time classic. I mean, listen, they're funny and they're amazing, but they are gimmicky.
Yeah.
But this was like all-timer classic. Like, I think people will talk about Anarchy in the Arena in like 10 years for sure.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, it makes me feel bad because it didn't appear on my list, not because...
That's okay.
I just kind of forgot it happened, and not because it's not memorable.
It's like a dream.
I thought it was the year before.
It already feels classic too. Yeah.
Yeah, it feels like it could happen tomorrow as well. Like it is a superposition.
Wait, that's still supposed to happen at Revolution, right? They're still building for that.
Yeah, it's like whenever you observe photons. Like it could be tomorrow. It could be last week. Like, if you were to tell me Mitsuharu Misawa competed in the Anarchy in the Arena match, for a second I'd go, yeah, that wait,
right.
What?
Wait, he's dead. His ghost came down and blessed the match. Yeah. Anyway,
Yeah, it's like, oh, fuck. So, yeah.
that's my number 2, though.
Yeah, no, great pick. My list is dog shit because it doesn't
It's fine.
It should have been all 5 Anarchy in the Arena.
Jesus Christ.
Um,
That's a list.
But my number 1 is Hangman Adam Page versus Bryan Danielson.
Great pick. It was a really good match. My top 3 are very close to each other.
Yeah. And this was because, 1, the match is fucking awesome, but 2, the story. Because I thought this was them putting the gas pedal to Hangman. Because I thought after the Kenny match, he had gotten injured, and that's why he wasn't there. But then the Bryan Danielson program started about a month in, and I was like, oh, okay. They're kicking it off. He had the injury. They didn't want to say anything about it. I was still like coping, you
Right.
know. And then the Bryan Danielson matches happened in quick succession to one another. And I was like, if they can keep this up, Hangman is going to be an all time. And it's like what you
Mm-hmm.
said. We were like, fuck yes, this is going to whip. And it didn't turn out like that, but the match is magical.
Yeah.
So we already talked about it, but it is magical.
I mean, I kind of want to go back and watch it at some point because it
Yeah.
really was like next level good. And it's kind of crazy to think about that it was this because it was so long ago. It's a year ago, over a year ago.
Yep.
So it was very good though. It was amazing.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
So yeah, what is your number one? Is it the dog collar match?
no, of course it is obviously QT Marshall versus Tony Nese. No,
Right.
my number one is in fact CM Punk versus MJF Dog Collar AEW
Yeah.
Revolution. Now,
Yeah.
so this was a thing where again, it was a difference in my understanding of what I actually like. Because again, I'd seen a lot of spot fests. They're not spot fest. I think spot fest really denotes like crazy Chikara matches or something where there's no psychology and it's just fucking
Yeah.
moonsaults. But I would say like more spot heavy things because even
Yeah.
something like Danielson versus Hangman is very spot heavy. This was not perfect in any capacity in that sense, like technically. But I think in terms of story,
Mhm.
like this was just everything was in the planets were aligned for this shit. Like
Yeah.
the feud was one of the all-time feuds. I mean, when you think about like when you talk about like God, Johnny Wrestling and fucking Gargano and all that kind of
Gargano
stuff.
and Tommaso
Tommaso
Ciampa.
Ciampa, you know, the you know, Flair and Steamboat, Savage Hogan, shit like that.
Mhm.
This was like it's up there. Like
Yeah.
they really built it perfectly. They got everything in the feud right. They did all the promo work. It
Mhm.
was kind of like this was the match you had to see on the show.
Yeah.
And I mean, they got juice. They did the intro theme song, which was perfect. The way the finish happened with Wardlow was absolutely spot on.
Mwah.
Everybody came out looking like $1,000,000. The psychology of the match and the way they worked the match was not mile a minute, but it made perfect sense. It was just one of those things where it made me realize like how much like it's not a good year to think about Ric Flair, especially.
No.
Matter of fact, I need to change my worst match nominations. But yeah, but it really made me realize, like, going back and thinking, like, okay, I remember why I would watch those Flair matches and be like, man, he's the fucking best. Because if you really think about it in a vacuum, like, how is Ric Flair the best? He doesn't do moves. He does a flying nothing. Like that is one of his fucking moves, that he goes to the top and never does an actual move off the top.
Mm-hmm.
But you watch a Flair match and you get it immediately. You're like, oh, he knows how to do it. And I mean, MJF's great, but I think this was a mixture of MJF and Punk just knowing how to do that shit. It just worked. So
It's a masterclass in storytelling,
mm-hmm.
which I love. I think I'm not one of those people who thinks that there isn't a place for spot heavy or spot fest matches. I love them. And one of the draws of AEW has always been there are different styles of matches coming up.
Mm-hmm.
And having Punk there, and Punk, a Jericho, and a John Moxley match are extremely similar in the fact of they go in with a story to tell, and there's varying degrees of success and everything, but in my mind they aren't the same, but they're in the same category because a Jericho match, he can't go quite as hard as he used to and do the high flying stuff. So he's going to rely on him being a shithead and telling a story through it. John Moxley is this immovable brick wall, who is who doesn't do all these fancy moves or anything, and he has a
Right.
more grounded style. And CM Punk is the same way as far as style. So CM Punk changed his style because near the end and everything, he couldn't even really do the springboard clothesline.
Right.
He could, but there was a good chance he was going to biff it, and he
Mhm.
did multiple times. But he was changing his style, much like Matt Sydal had changed his style. But Punk was changing it to more of the storytelling aspect because that's what he's great at. And it
Yeah.
makes complete sense.
Yeah.
And so having like an AEW show where it's like, all right, here's my spot fest. Here's the match with like some story into it, but I'm curious to see where they're going. Here's the storytelling match.
Right.
It was a very important part of the tent pole in an AEW show that after Punk went and the Elite worked there and everyone was scrambling, and for some fucking reason, like none of them. This is one thing that drives me crazy. I could book the goddamn show, but
Yeah.
in any event, and make it make sense and it would be fine.
Right.
But CM Punk was absolutely a tentpole in that strategy. And
Yeah.
I absolutely see why the dog collar match is up there because it's excellent.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, my mom had one best match of the year,
Yeah.
which was Blood and Guts, because I think it's the one she remembered.
Eh.
I'm sure she
That's
didn't like it at the time because people were bleeding everywhere. But hey, I don't
There's
know.
so many blades. It was a Freddy Krueger.
I think she doesn't actually mind the blood so much as like the quote unquote violence or whatever.
Yeah.
Like she doesn't like Danielson as much
Oh.
because he kills people. I mean, respect it. I get it. Like you are watching a man kill somebody. Like it's not in any way like
God, that Dante and Darius match, those top flight fellas got
Got beat up.
destroyed.
Yep. Cool.
So these will now be our kind of like sort of off the beaten path ones. I like to be as positive as I can on
They're
the
not as
show,
canon.
so-
Yeah.
Yeah.
The first ones
this
were
is-
canon. That's
Yeah.
just the way it is. Yeah.
And so, I did this last year on our show, and some of it played out, a lot of it didn't. This is, the top people that you want to see succeed beyond expectations, the people that you want to see, like, break out, and do really good and succeed. And last year, I'll read my list, because wow.
Geez, you have last year's. I don't remember what I. Do you have mine by any chance?
I don't,
Okay.
because you didn't have one because we had different things.
That's fine. That's fine.
But you mentioned people, but
Okay.
I don't know who.
Okay.
So this is from last year, just to show you what a year can do. God, I was so hopeful and filled with stars in my eyes.
Mm-hmm.
But it was Mercedes Martinez. I love Mercedes.
You said Mercedes. I thought Bernardo.
No, it's Mercedes Monet. Don't
yeah,
forget.
whatever. It's whatever.
Which the thing is, on that ROH show, I've said for a long time Mercedes is a great worker. And she's really good, and no one has believed me because her matches have sucked.
Yeah.
And I figured out why her matches have sucked, and that was because she was mostly feuding with goddamn Thunder Rosa.
Yup. Does not.
And the moment Thunder Rosa was not involved in the women's division got better.
Yep.
And woof. So Mercedes versus Athena was a barn burner. That was a great fucking match.
Yeah.
It was very good. I was finally vindicated, but happened way too late.
True.
My number 4 of last year was Layla Hirsch. She has
Oh,
spent most of this
the
year
fuck?
injured.
What happened to
Yep.
her? Yeah. Miss Layla.
Yeah, she destroyed her shoulder.
Hey,
I'm
remember
pretty
Chris
sure.
Stat?
Yeah,
Come back, Chris Stat, please. I know you're
Yeah.
hurt, but I'm
they're
begging you.
they're building her to take
There, yeah.
Jade, to
Which
take
is
the
exactly
TBS
what
title.
should happen. Yeah, yep.
Yeah. Here's one that hurts.
Uh-oh.
Jonathan Gresham.
You know what? Saw John Gresham at the Rumble show in
Yep.
NJPW. It was a pretty good match. He fought God, who did he fight? See, the thing was Gresham was
Nope.
I thought Gresham was good, but the guy he fought was fucking awesome. I don't remember his name, but it was kind of a little bit of a spot fest for me, but Gresham was very good, and it does hurt though. That's kind of like if you said like Leo Rush.
Oh.
Yikes.
Oh.
Sad.
Yeah.
Who was also
and
at the
then-
show that I was at. Go figure.
And then my 2 and 1 was Trish Adora and Darius Lockhart. Darius Lockhart, I think, has quit wrestling.
God damn, dude.
Yeah, and
This is
then,
the Kiss of Death Awards, is what these are.
Oh
You just-
no!
Whoever you want to
Oh
succeed.
God, I've got to take them off the list.
No. So number 1, Sammy Guevara. I wish him all the best in his future endeavors. No.
Yeah, and then Trish Adora, who was the Pan African Diaspora World Champion.
What's she up to?
And nothing.
Mm.
Like she was on.
I think I heard
AEW
about
Dark.
her somewhere. Yeah, she's on Dark. Okay.
Yeah, she was on Dark or the ROH show. I can't quite remember, but I mean,
that's
essentially, it's something. But I really wanted her to break out and succeed, and has not happened.
Maybe the way you have to think about it is maybe you're 2 years behind.
Yeah.
So
maybe.
2023 is the year John Gresham and Trish Adora and Darius Lockhart all take over AEW or whatever.
Yeah.
Or
so
WWE.
On this year, I just have 3.
Oh, I have 5. It's fine.
Gotcha. My number 1 on that, they're in no particular order, but
Okay.
with a bullet, Willow Nightingale. I want to see her succeed, and do extremely well.
Mhm.
I love her gimmick. I love her style. She wrestles like Dr. Death.
Yep.
Steve Williams. And it's not just because she does the Dr. Bomb, it's the way, like, she has watched Steve Williams matches and is emulating and homaging that style in one of the best ways possible.
Yeah.
Like, she can have a hoss off, she can do high speed stuff if she wanted to. She's the total package. Like, people get behind her. That is a white meat baby face like I've ever seen. And I have high hopes for her and Ruby Soho versus Anna Jay and Ty. Because if you remember...
Did that not already happen? That already
no,
happened.
No, that's happening this Wednesday, I think.
That happened last week, Anthony.
No.
Yeah.
And then the street fight. A street fight.
Oh, they're fighting. Okay, they're having a street fight then. Okay. They already did fight, but they're having a street fight.
Yes,
That's okay.
they did fight,
Okay.
but sorry, I didn't say street fight.
That's okay. Just making sure I'm not going crazy. They did fight,
Mm-hmm.
yes.
But yeah, they're having a street fight.
Cool.
And,
down with
one of the sleeper matches of last year was Anna Jay and Ty Mello versus the Bunny.
Fucking
and
crazy
Penelope
match.
Ford.
Man.
Great match. And
How
they
do-
referenced it.
How do you look, how do you kind of drop the Bunny after that shit? Because she was clearly Roman Reigns at that. She's the ratings fucking master. And they just did not, Like, she had that match, and I was like, Jesus, this is so fucking cool. And then she, like, barely ever shows up anymore.
Well, she's started showing up lately, and that is
Yeah.
because of two things. One, her and the Blade both, they're married.
Yes.
They had, after that street fight, mental health crisis.
Yeah, I thought that was before, but I guess it was around the same time. Yeah.
No, it was after the street fight. They had that, and then the bunny turned it around, and she got to work on a new Puppet Master movie.
That's right. You
Which,
told me about
yeah, she's really into horror movies, and that's one of her passions, and Puppet Master is her favorite series. And she got to work on that for like 3 or 4 months. So
that. Yeah.
she's been doing what she has been wanting to do, and her and Penelope both have come back in the last 2 months or so, and Penelope and the bunny both are wrestling excellently.
Yeah.
Like, they were inconsistent before, and then they had the street fight where they just knocked it out of the park, and then they weren't really around because Penelope got injured.
Yep.
She got physically injured. Not in that match, but she had a nagging injury, I'm pretty sure.
Gotcha. Cool.
But in any event, I have high hopes for that match coming up because I hope it lives up to the first street fight.
Sure. My top 5 I want to see succeed. Number 5 is Swerve.
Yeah.
So, I thought this angle that started out his, what do you call it, stable? I thought that's
affiliates.
Yeah, I thought that sucked and was one of the worst angles ever. Segments, I should say. The segment was trash with fucking Rick Ross and all that. But Swerve is so fucking good. This dude needs to be. I think you could strap a Raga to him at any point, and it would be a good idea. Had a barn burner with AR Fox. I kind of don't even mind the stable so much. I think it's a dumb name, and on its face, it's like two white guys that look ridiculous. But they were so they got this guy with the tats or whatever, right? And on the last show at the AR Fox match, they somebody on comment. Sometimes little things happen. They're like, that's so cool. I didn't. Somebody on commentary is like, the Painted Man. I'm like, if they call him the Painted Man, he would be the most badass fucking heel. It's so like, it's like distinguished in a really weird way. It's got this like aura to it. But you know.
It's like the villain in like a supernatural horror thriller or something.
Yeah, but this is all to say, Swerve, amazing on promos, great character, excellent in the ring, like kind of unpredictable in the ring in a really awesome way. I think, to me, Swerve has that thing that Lio Rush had, but he's much more dependable than Lio is in terms of booking and stuff like that. So I think he could very well be at the top without too much time. Number 4 is Jamie Hayter. At this point, it's basically just your list of top 5 wrestlers. But Jamie Hayter, I feel, I mean, she's great, but I don't think she's kind of proven it with the first match with Sheeta, but she hasn't had the time yet. So I'm really hoping that this is like where the women's division really hits its stride with Jamie at the top. Takeshita. So Takeshita's obviously awesome, but I think I just want to see the dude win regularly, and I want to see him, even if you put him in a stable, make him a guy, do something with him. Number 2 is Masha Slamovich, who does not current. That's why I asked who has the Impact title right now, because it's not her. Masha is an Impact. I don't watch Impact. However, I have loved Masha since I saw her on that Power show. Masha's fucking awesome. I can't believe AEW didn't sign her. If I were them, I would poach the fuck out of TNA to get her over.
She actually went with Impact over AEW because her contract came up earlier in the year, I'm pretty sure.
Oh, crazy. Like, I'm just saying, if I was Tony, I'd get her some cushy fucking pay raise.
Yeah,
I don't know what I'd do.
Open it up. Open that wallet
but,
up.
like, come on. She's so good. And anyway, And then number 1 is Eddie.
Yeah.
He's number 2 on my top 5, but listen, this needs to be the year that Eddie wins matches, and specifically, he should win a fucking belt, if not the top belt. It really should be the top belt. I don't think Eddie needs to get the TNT title, but I don't care what it is. Give the man something. Yes. So.
God.
Yeah. Anyway.
Yeah. The other 2 people, we've talked about them before. I think they go hand in hand because they are forever enemies.
Oh, right. Yeah.
And that's Daniel Garcia and Wheeler Yuta.
Yes.
I really want to see them absolutely succeed. They have all the tools. They just need the right booking, and they are the stars of the future. Period.
Yeah, I agree.
You could, in the right hands, build an entire company around them.
Yep. My mom has picks for this too.
Ooh, yeah.
Action Andretti.
Hey, I like him. Yeah.
Which you will be seeing a lot of him. It's very clear they made the decision there. Athena. I think that's a good call. You will be seeing a lot of Athena. Mm-hmm. AR Fox.
Yeah, love AR Fox.
Who has been on a tear, and is clearly it was very good that AEW signed him because Miro.
Yes.
Now I originally had him on mine, but I replaced him with Swerve because look, Miro. It's come out recently that Miro, his problem is with his booking and losing, and normally I see that and I'm like, oh great, guys, big time in the fucking booker, blah blah blah. But I kind of agree with Miro. He should be winning. He should be in an angle where he fucking wins because he's awesome. And his character makes sense with that. But it's fine. It's like a Wardlow character. You don't have Wardlow lose all the time.
Yeah.
How's it any different?
There can be accommodations. Like, come on.
And her number 1 is Hook. Which, honestly, the minute Hook just showed up again recently with Jungle Boy, I was like, oh, right. Right, Hook. I forgot. Because, I thought this was going to be like the year of Hook. And it's been kind of off and on, but they're clearly doing something now, and so that's the thing. It's just that inconsistency. But this leads, speaking of inconsistency, to the top 5 who need to go away. Well,
so I think we both have
Yes.
number one with a bullet, the same person.
We'll see, but probably.
So
Go
number
ahead.
5, he's been away most of the time, but I still never want to see him again. Dan Lambert. Fuck off.
Oh my God, I forgot he existed. Listen, the minute there was like a story around when all that happened, and Dan Lambert was like, yeah, I decided I should take a step back because I was getting in the way of angles. I'm like, thank God somebody fucking figured this out. Holy shit.
Cheese and crackers.
Yeah. When did he leave?
Yeah. He left probably, it was the same time whenever Scorpio Sky left.
Oh my God, he's gone too. Holy shit. I forgot Scorpio Sky even existed.
The kiss of death. One Samuel Guevara.
Dude. That man, what is... So, okay.
We were all yelling at the screen and not in a good way of like, get this fucking dude off.
That tells you a little bit about technically things are better because I forgot Dan Lambert was even a thing. Like, I am so glad he's super gone. Well, we can take turns. My number 5 is Will Ospreay.
Yep.
Good
Makes
timing
sense.
since now everybody's so fucking up on Ospreay. But honestly, every single time he was on AEW, I'm like, get this fucker off my screen. I hate him so much. I hate his promos. The oi bruv, hey oi, you won't fight me, bruv? I'll fight you. It's always the same shit. It's terrible. He can't. His need. So here's the thing about the Omega thing. I'm sure it's a good match, but his need to feud with Omega is pathetic. It is.
Yeah.
It is sad sack shit. Like, oh, oh, won't you fight me? You're too afraid to fight me. It's baby shit. His constant showboating in every match. It's not even spots. It's faces and overselling. To me, he's like that Shawn Michaels Hogan, Matt. He is constantly doing that shit, and that is like embarrassing. I hate it.
It's bad. Like, on its face, I don't mind Will Ospreay's wrestling.
No.
Like, his overselling and stuff gets on my nerves and everything. But yeah, it's just, stop. Who are you trying to impress?
He does impressive stuff just with what he does. He doesn't need to
let it speak for itself.
Exactly. Yeah.
Like, he's a tryhard, which is what makes it just so ugh.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, no.
Yes.
Ugh. So my next is just on pure principle alone. We've ragged on this guy for a long time. I will continue to rag on him. He sucks. He's terrible. He's skeezy. He's awful. Austin Theory. He's mostly gone away at this
I forgot he existed.
He's mostly gone away at
He's
this
still
point
around.
Yeah, he's still around, but he's not being featured prominently like he was under the Vince
He's
era.
not pushed to the moon, no.
Which is, the only push he should get should be out of a play.
Jesus Christ. Billy the Austin Theory should host as a parasite.
Get this dude the fuck out of there. We all know his crimes, despite everyone being like, what proof do we have? Blah, 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 blah. You don't generally, magically, just out of thin blue air get accused of being a pedophile. Like, holy shit. In any event, allegedly in Minecraft.
Asterisk. But also, he's a fucking weird creep. His character is a weird creep. That's his character. He's a weirdo. He's a weird asshole who makes Junji Ito faces.
He makes. Jeez.
Yeah, he's terrible.
Like, and the thing is, you can say, oh, he's just playing it up to the camera and everything. I see him take regular photos, and he does that same face. Like, that's just his face. He looks like that on purpose.
He sucks, and he didn't even make my list. So, number 4, I have a tie. It is Sammy Guevara and Jay Lethal. Now, Sammy Guevara is not my top. Oof. You'd be surprised. But, however, both of these guys. Wow. So, Sammy Guevara, luckily I haven't heard of him from him in a bit. However, Sammy, this was basically Sammy's reign of terror year. I don't know what the fuck was happening, but you know what? I kind of blame MJF for doing that Pillars promo where Sammy was involved. So the thing is Sammy is capable of having really good spot fest matches. Yeah. However,
there's a place for him.
This year, what Sammy proved to me was his character is terrible. I believe he started as a face, getting involved in the horrible TNT title business.
Yep. Started as a face. They started Dan Lambert and Scorpio Sky. Ethan Page never did it. Started saying that Ty Mello was a slut and terrible shit like that. Get that the fuck out of here.
Well,
and then everyone realized that, oh, Sammy Guevara is actually just a bad person in general, and we don't like him.
Right. So I'll walk through it real quick. Basically, we realized he's a terrible face. He's white meat in a way that sucks. He buys like Fuego a car or whatever. He does his card shtick was so bad. He does his cue cards to the audience. I hated it. It was so unbearable. So they're like, this sucks. We'll turn him heel. And then what happened was he became a heel in real life. So basically, he got with Ty Mello after he wasn't with his wife anymore. I don't care. Honestly, that stuff
Cheating
I don't care about.
I don't care.
Does not matter to
Cheating
me.
is morally value neutral.
This is all totally irrelevant to me, but the main thing was him and Ty are kind of insufferable, and for a while this maybe had like some go away heat. However, an important thing is anybody who has been in Sammy's orbit has suffered horribly. So the main person is Ty. Ty had a title match with Britt Baker last year.
One of Britt's best matches to that day.
And now she's fucking eye candy. She walks around and makes out. I think Ty has had the keys to like 3 different cages this year. That is all she has been doing. She makes faces in matches. I mean, she's good at it, but it's a fucking shame. Then we had Eddie Kingston, who got in a fight because Sammy made fun of his weight, and Eddie got suspended. And Sammy didn't.
Awful.
And he was a complete shitheel about it, saying that Eddie, that's why he had to get anger management classes. Fuck you, Sammy. You had to get classes because you said some racist fucking shit about Sasha Banks or whoever. Like,
no, it wasn't racist. It was sexual assault.
He said
he said he wanted to rape her.
Yeah, he's horrible. Like, so basically, then it gets worse. It just gets worse. The more you look at Sammy's career all year, it has been nuking people's everywhere left and right. They injured Ruby Soho, him and Ty, put her out of action for months. She had to get reconstructive surgery because they just dropped her on her fucking nose in a pre-show match that wasn't even that important. He ruined the finish to the Eddie and Jericho match. They, for some reason,
nearly ruined the finish to the Jericho and Claudio Castagnoli feud 1 because he threw the bat to Jericho and it overshot the whole ring and Jericho had to get out of the ring and get the bat.
So for some reason, around when all this was happening, like when he was ruining matches and sucking, they just kept putting him on TV. And I hit a point where it's like, why is he in main event matches over and over and over? Everybody clearly hates him. And it hit a point where I think it was him and Jericho and Danielson or something like that.
Yeah.
And he was ruining the match by sheer virtue of being there because people were booing him to the expense of what was happening in the match. Like nobody was paying attention to the wrestling. So
awful.
He's terrible. Jay Lethal, very similar. Look, all the alleged stuff aside, when Jay Lethal came in, I was like, oh, he's a good wrestler and he's good at he's okay at promos. Cool. Maybe that'll work. My main thing with Jay all year, this man works the leg in every fucking match. He does. Has this man ever won with the figure 4 ever in his life? He does it all.
On Dark.
Jesus Christ. First of all, half of his offense is shit that doesn't relate to the other half, and it's stolen from other people. Then, this man is getting 8 minutes of heat on Darby Allin. Are you people insane? On TV, Darby should fucking mop the floor with Jay Lethal. It should not even be... It can be back and forth, maybe, at best. But no way should Jay Lethal be getting 8 minutes of heat on Darby. And... I mean, it's hit a point where I'm okay with it because he's teaming with Jeff Jarrett and he's on the apron half the fucking time. But I would like to see him leave. I don't need to see Jay.
Jay Lethal is one of the best non-memorable match, non-memorable people to have a match that's like 3 1/4.
Yes.
I haven't seen him necessarily have a bad match, one where I'm like, ugh. But you don't remember him. You don't remember any of his fucking matches. He's just forgettable.
Yeah. Anyway, long rant about my number 4s, but yes.
Yep.
Number 3.
Yeah, mine, Will Ospreay. Already talked about him.
Well, he's not in AEW anymore, at least. Hopefully,
Yeah.
he doesn't come back.
I don't necessarily mind him sometimes, but his
Yes.
try-hard nature is just fucking awful. My number 2 is Seth freaking Rollins.
Okay.
Get the fuck out of here. I hate that shit. It's awful. I don't even watch that show, and I have to hear about Seth freaking Rollins all the goddamn time. And all of these stupid fucking year-end top 10 wrestlers, they all list Seth freaking Rollins.
Mm-hmm.
It fucking sucks. He laughs. That's it. He sounds like Master Betty from goddamn Kung Pao Enter the Fist. Shut the fuck up about Seth freaking Rollins. He sucks. It's bad.
Well, my number 3, because those were tied by the Saving of Art and Jay Lethal. My number 3 is Jade Cargill.
Oh, yeah.
Sorry.
I get it.
She's trying.
No.
But
Look, I defended her for a long time. I was in the, okay, well, let's let's see if she gets the experience. She hasn't. It hasn't blossomed. It hasn't paid any dividends. I don't care.
okay,
Put her on the scrap heap.
out of all the people on my list, for Jade, it is specifically nothing personal. Okay? I like Jade. I think she's cool. She seems like a great person. She's trying really hard. The thing is I just don't need you on TV as much as they put you on TV. And the way they do it, it's not cool. It's just like, look, her matches have been better because she's been in tags, okay? And she's not doing her stupid angle where the belt got stolen by Wile E. Coyote, But
Jeez.
even though the matches are better and everything's overall better, there's always something. She's in tag matches and they're padding her record. That doesn't count towards your record. It's a tag match. It's so stupid. It makes me mad. They update the number on the screen. I'm like, fuck you. How dare you? That shit does not count. It has never counted. I know that's me getting worked, but like,
Well, you see, the thing
she's
is
not a
that they
heel in that way. Like, she's not supposed to be cheating to get her numbers up. Like, it makes me mad.
What she should have done is they should have drawn the delineation between singles and tag losses.
Sure.
And had the baddies win for a while, her and the baddies win for a while, and then get dethroned. You want to talk about getting 3 people over, 3 women over at one time? You could do that shit. Like, the answers are so fucking obvious, but they can never goddamn do it.
No. Anyway, so that was my number 3. My number 2, because you already did your number 2. My number 2 is Bray Wyatt / The Fiend / Wyndham Rotunda / Husky Harris /
Cut that shit.
Uncle
Just
Howdy
cut that shit.
/ Swamp Jesus.
It's bad.
So this man came back, right? He came back to WWE. And let me tell you, the minute he was back in WWE, I was so fucking relieved he was not Nate. Because years of people be like, oh, they're going to get Bray and they're going to make him join House of Black and it'll be, he'll take over for Brody. It'll be so. I was like, man, if he gets anywhere near this company, please God, don't let it happen. He comes back. It's blah. Like he just shows up with a lantern and everybody loves it. Everybody's like, yay, Bray's back. I'm so happy. Woo, yay.
Oh my God.
This man's been there for months. And what do you have for it? Uncle Howdy. He's feuding with, what's his fucking name? Parker, whatever. I don't know. Like, he's some dude. I don't remember his name, but I'm sure
I'm not even aware of any feud
Okay.
he's been in. I just always hear about Uncle Howdy.
He's feuding with a guy. Uncle Howdy is also there, who is a man who has a mask on, who I'm pretty sure is Bo Dallas, by the way. And they do 18,000 camera cuts. They do spooky, wacky shit just like they always. This is the exact same shit. And it sucks. And how in the world, like, that's the thing. People go, oh, now that Vince is gone, there's not going to be this bullshit on TV. Motherfucker, Bray Wyatt is on TV with Uncle Howdy. Y'all, and I know that was never Vince's thing. No, it's Bray's thing, and they rehired him. Like, he's so lame. I hate Bray Wyatt. I always have. Anyway, he needs to go away. I don't care if he's on WWE. Wake up. Stop it.
Fuck. Oh, shit. Oh, we started talking about Bray Wyatt and my eyes glazed.
Yeah, you just wait. He'll be champion in a few weeks.
God damn it.
Then, Cody will get re-injured. They'll put it on Uncle Howdy. Bo Dallas.
Other booby.
Bo Dallas, the new champion. You just wait.
Fuck.
Anyway.
And then the person that I thought would be both our number ones with a bullet was Sammy Guevara.
He's tied for fourth just because I don't know.
The thing is, Sammy messed with Eddie, and he also messed with Andrade. He fucked Andrade's whole deal
Jesus
up.
Christ. How did he fuck up Andrade?
The problem is not the other people, it's Sammy. Sammy is a detriment to your locker room.
So
get him out.
So that was the other thing, is all this Punk business happened and they suspended everybody. And Sammy's still running fuck around.
That's
I was so bad. He was back on TV in no time. Like, how is he not suspended?
And
what are you guys doing?
Look, the wrestling locker room is a Wild West weird place. There's all types back there. If I was to elect, if I believed in law enforcement and stuff like that, if I was to elect a sheriff for the back locker room, it would be Eddie.
Yes.
Because Eddie would keep people the fuck in line. And now you've got it to where Eddie is just probably views the locker room as, it's a job. Yeah. That's the thing. I don't know if Eddie has the same passion because he got suspended after Tony Khan was like, yeah, you are part of the locker room leaders back here and everything. And then he gets suspended and twink ass Sammy Guevara gets to just stroll away to main event matches while Eddie had to, attend anger management.
Sammy's got to have, he's got to have dirt on Tony. I don't know what the fuck he has.
It's just Jericho. It's Jericho.
Yeah, that makes perfect sense. Fuck off though. God.
Yeah.
Listen, Tony needs to be able to fucking say, Jericho, fuck off. He doesn't have to fire him, but he just needs to be saying, no, we're not doing that. Come on, man. Anyway,
Jesus.
My number one. Oh, well, Seth freaking Rollins. Of course it's Seth freaking Rollins. I'm so sick of hearing about this. And look, so the difference is, Sammy's made a lot of people's lives hell all year, and he keeps getting pushed. But Sammy, not only is Sammy not on top, nobody on God's green earth is saying Sammy is one of the best of all time, and he's the next Shawn Michaels. This shit is unbearable. The amount of people,
insufferable.
What are you people talking about? Okay, Seth Rollins ain't even the next Roman Reigns, much less the next Shawn Michaels. You people, I don't know what maybe he's the next Triple H. That I can see.
Seth Rollins is the next.
You cut out.
People remember the Mountie because
the Mountie.
The whole gotcha.
You cut out.
Remember. Yeah, sorry.
The Mountie.
People remember the Mountie for the whole shtick and the pomp and circumstance and the taser rod. They remember Seth Rollins because he comes out in the blue cape and you sing the song.
While I understand, I will not give Seth Rollins that much credit. The Mountie, Jacques Rougeau, fucking amazing. Excellent, man.
It was great. It was great.
Seth, look, he can do some stuff in the ring. That's it. The dude's character is Garbo. His feuds are terrible. I mean, the Cody feud. Cody could have feuded with literally anybody. He could have feuded with the Miz.
Rematch.
It's terrible. I hate it. But also, yeah, comparing him to Shawn is just stupid. Like, first of all, Shawn Michaels is already insanely overrated. But
Yeah.
the better comparison would be Triple H, a guy who is constantly at the top, even though he has boring regular matches that go on too long so he can get his shit in, and he's married into something that will probably keep him at the top. That is set. That is literally, it's just Triple H. And he even was practically Triple H for like a year.
He used the pedigree and everything. Like,
he was the architect and all this, and then they positioned him at the top. Like, that's just who he is. He's that guy. So, like, he's the golden boy. Then that's not Shawn Michaels. Shawn Michaels was a pain in the ass for everybody. I mean, Seth is too, but not in that way. And he's also not, like, revolutionizing the fucking way that the sport is or whatever. He's not doing anything that's special at all. He just wrestles. Anyway, so overrated. I'm so tired of hearing about him. And I'm sure he's on people's best wrestler of the year. You people are nuts. Absolutely insane.
Completely. What? I see something like that, and I understand wrestling to a vast degree. And I can look at a lot of, like, I look at Roman Reigns and I go, okay, yeah, I get why people are enamored with him. I look at Brock, even in my Brock hating days, I was like, okay, I get why people like Brock. I don't get why people like Seth Rollins. There's nothing to it. It makes me feel like I'm taking crazy pills.
I think it's because he's in WWE. And who else do you have? Somebody the other day was mentioning, people were talking about Shinsuke, because Shinsuke had a match.
Against the Great Muta.
Which was fucking awesome. And, man, do you remember when Shinsuke came to WWE?
Man,
holy shit, have they
losing our
wasted
minds.
One of the talents of a fucking generation. This dude had the IC title belt for an insane amount of time without ever fucking wrestling. He was in a feud with AJ Styles, his, like, arch rival in NJPW, where they kicked each other in the dick over and over.
It sucked so bad.
He's still there. How has this happened?
I hate the term washed because people, like, overuse it and, like, say it in ways that it doesn't apply. Like, Shinsuke in WWE is washed. Like, he's washed up. Like, maybe he had a good match against the Great Muta. We'll see. But everything that he's done, like, he didn't have chemistry with fucking AJ Styles. What is wrong? One of the greatest wrestlers of his generation. I mean, of that generation, it's AJ Styles and Bryan Danielson.
Like, it's the exact same thing with Asuka. Like, look, Asuka and people watch WWE, like, they love Asuka. They think Asuka's awesome. And she is, but she ain't anywhere near as fucking awesome as she would be anywhere else. Like, that's and for a month now, Asuka has been teasing clown Asuka, basically, like, fuck you, I'm going back to the old me. She hasn't been on TV. She's been on Twitter saying, like, I'm done, you know, and posting all these clown pictures. And the thing is WWE marks see that and go, oh, she's gonna finally turn it on in WWE. And I see it and I go, man, I hope she gets the fuck out. I hope she fucking leaves and takes that good shit somewhere else. And I don't have to worry about how they're gonna ruin her fucking clown gimmick and they're gonna make Kana like some garbage. Like,
yeah, it's gonna be bad.
Because she's languishing. Like, they fucked her up when she lost to Charlotte and Mania. Like, they fucked that shit up forever.
Fucking awful.
That was eons ago. But anyway.
Yeah. Well, that's our list.
We ended with the people who suck, but everybody else is good. Oh, I had a worst match too, which originally it was Jericho versus Colt Cabana. But I changed it to Ric Flair's final match because that really, I mean,
oh yeah, oh god,
I forgot that happened and remembered halfway through the show when I said Ric Flair, I was like, oh shit, never mind. That is easily the worst thing that's ever happened.
Yeah, that was awful. Ugh.
And my mom's worst match was Lethal versus Wardlow at Rampage Battle of the Belts 3.
God. I would have to look through my spreadsheet to see what I rated low, because I also like put a little descriptor, like, you know, not quite a paragraph in there.
Mm-hmm.
But I would have to look through that, because that's the thing about AEW is things will suck, but it's
never that bad.
Drizzling shits.
The only drizzling shits things that happen on AEW are segments. Like, you remember the Nyla Rose segment where she yelled at Jade while she had the match, and then they...
Oh.
Or like the Rick Ross segment, or...
the second Rick Ross segment?
Yes, or a Sanjay Dutt... Yeah, the first one was good. Or a Sanjay Dutt's rap video.
Oh.
Something that's like so bad, but it's not a match. Like, matches are usually better than that. And they don't have DQs and stuff. And
ugh.
All right, well...
God, but...
Well, here's hoping...
Get better taste. Just get better taste.
Just stop watching WWE. You don't have to do it. There's no reason.
Jesus.
Vince is back.
You.
Vince is back. You have an excuse to just leave. They rehired the rapist, allegedly.
Yeah, they probably will. I guarantee he will be... Also, he's calling Triple H every day. Like, come on.
Yeah. No,
like,
of course.
Jesus Christ. Ugh.
Could you imagine getting called by Vince McMahon every day so he can yell at you about the booking? Oh my
Pal, what are you doing? My beautiful boy Austin Theory's not in there.
He has nothing to do either. That's the other thing. Vince has absolutely nothing else to do.
Nothing to do. I guarantee him and Trump are hanging out. That's it. Like, famously, Donald Trump and Vince McMahon, those are the only people that they actually get along with, is each other.
Trump's probably sick of him at this point. He's like, dude, just don't you have some business to be? I got to crunch numbers. I got to go play golf. Can you get out of here?
I got to go, doing this whole president thing. I'll see you around, Vinny.
Oh, I don't have a show to go back to. Help. I need to talk to you about Austin Theory.
Help me.
I don't know who Austin Theory is. Anyway.
The only theory I know of is the one of relativity. And you need to relativity your way on out. Boom, got him.
He doesn't know about the theory of relativity.
Exactly why.
The only theory Trump knows about is like fucking the Great Replacement theory or something like that. Fucking craziness.
The theory he knows about is string theory. The one where it gets dangled in my face for 6 hours. We love it, folks. We love it.
Anyway.
Y'all have.
Yeah.
Get some better taste. Jesus.
Get some better taste. Go watch Enter King of the Arena.
Yeah. Yeah. Go watch it 5 times.
Push Eddie Kingston. Just start taking over. Hijack the shows if Eddie Kingston.
I don't approve of hijacking shows, but in Eddie Kingston's case, yes. Yes. Hijack the show, make signs, Eddie Kingston. All the time.
And if Sammy shows up, feel free to throw things at him. That's fine.
Yeah.
It's WCW.
Especially AA batteries.
No, just trash pile that ring. Come on. I want to see like the chair thing at ECW where they all throw the chairs in, you know?
But it's Sammy and cinder blocks.
Why did they all have cinder blocks? Because they all bought them to the show. It's hard to get those to the detectors. They're like, why do you have this?
Don't worry about
part
it.
Of
I just have Sammy Guevara written
just my footrest.
I have a disability.
This is my support cinder block that I bring to everywhere I go. It helps me.
Petting it. It has Sammy Guevara written all on.
That's how mad Sammy Guevara makes people, is they would be willing to part with their support cinder blocks to beat him in the head. All right. Well,
appreciate you, Sammy.
That's
Have
it
a
for
good
this
time,
week. Next
folks.
week, Masawa versus Jumbo. Hit my music.
There it is. There it is. I'll find it.